And hello and welcome from the campus of UC Santa Barbara. Dave Sobera, as always, bringing you all the play-by-play for the Inland Valley Baseball Association. It's the Pirates in Game 3 here at UC Santa Barbara of pool play for the Rawlings California Cup. And so far, they've faced great competition in the first two games and fell to the number 3 ranked team in the nation, the Santa Barbara Foresters, by a score of 11-5 a couple days ago. And yesterday, you might think maybe part of the turning point of the season. In fact, maybe this week is exactly what the doctor ordered for the men in red, the Pirates, because this week alone, Inland Valley has had 2 walk-off hits, one against Team San Diego on a Wednesday, and one yesterday in thrilling fashion, trailing by 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. Channing Varela comes through with a 2-run double to tie it up at 8 apiece and no outs at the time. And then it was Jake Thumb with the bases loaded and 2 outs and just fighting off pitches and doing everything he could do to stay in that at-bat, as it was a marathon at-bat that was ultimately won by number 11 in the red, Jake Thumb. Thumb driving it to the left field for a game-winning RBI. And the Pirates took the 9-8 win, and so they are 1-1 here in pool play. Meanwhile, the team that they're facing today, the PiratesVsSaints, are 0-2 in pool play after falling 5-2 a couple days ago to the Conejo Oaks. And then yesterday, 16-4 was the score when they played the Foresters. What does this all mean? Well, here's what it means. The Foresters are 2-0. Pirates are 1-1, Conejo Oaks is 1-1, and the Saints 0-2. Well, so right now that puts the Pirates in the number 2 position in pool play in the South. And so in the we're going to get a national anthem, I guess. We didn't have that yesterday, but we'll get it today. So I will let you listen in as we get ready for this game. So how about that? We had the national anthem for you. Actually, for the game on a couple days ago against the Foresters, we had a national anthem before that game, but I had thought that, I guess they were just doing it for the Foresters, but no, we had the national anthem before this game. As we mentioned, we didn't yesterday, but we got treated to a little bit of patriotic appeal on a 4th of July. And so maybe that was part of the reason why they decided to give the national anthem the call here for the first game of the day, as it is 4th of July. So glad you could join us on our national holiday celebrating Independence Day. And what else would you want to do it with than watching baseball and maybe having a drink or a cocktail or something? Although it is a little bit early, just noon right now on the West Coast. But still, I know a lot of people will be grilling out there and maybe just listening to the stream while they're at their grills, or maybe hooking it up to the TV at home and just taking in all the sights and sounds from UCSB. As we mentioned, really high atop home plate, so you get a great look at the entire field of this Big West school, of course, in Division I. 335 down the lines, 405 to dead center. That is what the readings are here in this field. And it hasn't been able to hold some of the, home runs that we've seen, as one of them, unfortunately for the Pirates, was just crushed over the scoreboard in left field. And we saw another one to right field that the Foresters hit against Pirates. And meanwhile, the Pirates themselves have had a couple wall bangers, a couple of one-hoppers to the fence, but trying to maybe, potentially, get their first home run here today against the South Bay Saints. This will be the starting lineups here for the Saints. The DH leading off, Kyle Moore. Typically you don't see a DH leading off. Right-handed hitter, open stance. Takes strike one, a fastball on the outside corner from Brendan Hornig. Then you have Elijah Skips, Bryce Peterson, Jason DeAndrea, Tyler Smith, Blaze. His name is Blaze Dulce Machio. Interesting name there. Line drive. Nice diving catch by Kyle Jackson. And Kyle Jackson, fresh from his recruiting trip, first play, makes an amazing diving grab, robbing Kyle Moore of an extra base hit. So just like that, fresh from the plane, actually got back late last night and made the trip up north to play in this game here today. And we'll give you a little bit more information about exactly where he went when he comes up to the plate in the first inning. Let's finish out the South Bay Saints lineup. Low and in, ball one. 1-0 the count to Elijah Skips. Final three in the lineup will be the catcher, Daniel Hawkins, Simeon Lati, the third baseman, and Kyle Henme, the second baseman. Here's the 1-0. Misses high and away for a ball, and it's 2-0. Meanwhile, in the infield, as we mentioned, you have Kyle Jackson at third, Jeff Nelson at short, Channing Varela at second, and Nick Hernandez at first. Just off the plate outside for a ball, and it's 3-0. So those are the infielders, the battery of Brendan Hornig and the catcher Gomez. Meanwhile, in the outfield, Johnny Juarez in left. Fastball, strike one, 3-1 the count. So Johnny Juarez getting the call up for these 2 days. And because Charlie needed a catcher, you needed an extra catcher, but playing in left field both days. Drew Seelman in center and Jake Thum in right. 5-pitch walk drawn here by Elijah Skips, and that'll be the first base runner of the day for the South Bay Saints. As we mentioned, the Inland Valley Pirates are 1-1 in pool play. The South Bay Saints 0-2. And what would the Inland Valley Pirates need to potentially win the pool, you might ask? Well, they're going to need a lot, starting with a win here today. In the win today, they would need to hold the South Bay Saints to fewer than 3 runs, and then they would need an absolute slugfest between Caneo Oaks and the Santa Barbara Foresters, which would ultimately be won by Caneo Oaks. And the magic number in that game that the Pirates would need is 12-11, where Caneo Oaks wins. That is like the least number of runs that could be scored for the Pirates to somehow, some way, end up winning the tiebreaker. And so the first thing you need to do is take care of business and win this game. And the second thing you need to do is you need to get a bit of luck, and maybe the Santa Barbara Foresters falls. But from what we've seen, it's going to be a hard thing for the Caneo Oaks to do. Big swing and a miss, strike two to Bryce Peterson. And so you're saying there's a chance? Yeah, there is a chance. But maybe it's a slim one. But as long as there's a chance, hey, I relayed the message to Charlie, and he says he's going to try to hold them under 3 runs here today. Here's the pitch from Hornig. Check swing, yes, he did go. Strike 3, down he goes. Well, Brendan Hornig has been one of the aces of this staff for the Pirates all season long. And he's gotten some looks from Division I schools. The consummate junior-to-be who is really trying to prove himself this summer season and find a home for those final 2 years. And it's funny because when I say the 2 schools that are looking at him right now, And one of them, he just came back from a visit as well, just like Kyle Jackson. He just came back fresh off the plane from Hawaii, where he went to the University of Hawaii to tour the campus and check things out there. Fastball upstairs, ball one to the cleanup hitter, Deandra. And he liked what he saw. He likes the fact that it's in the Big West, but he did mention the fact that, wow, every single road trip is going to be at least 5 hours in the plane, maybe 6, because all the road trips will be to California at the very least. So he was acknowledging that. Here's the pitch. Outside ball, 2-2 on the count. 2-0, 2 outs, top of the first inning. And a man on first, Elijah Skips drew a walk. So he likes it on the one hand, I'm sure, just, the beach atmosphere and the fact that it is part of the Big West. So he's going to play, if he ends up going to Hawaii, with a lot of his teammates here on the Pirates even, a few playing in the Big West, and just, other California boys that he knows. Sky high, fly ball, shallow left field. Coming in is Johnny Juarez. And calling for it is Jeff Nellis as he's backpedaling and makes the grab about 20 feet deep on the outfield grass for the final out of the inning. So that'll do it for the first half inning. 1 walk allowed, no runs, and it remains a scoreless tie between the Pirates and the Saints. We'll tell you more about Brendan Hornig and his trip to Hawaii, as well as the other school that he's looking at, which we kind of teased about. That's the University of Nebraska. So we'll talk maybe a little about the clash, maybe the cultural clash differences between those two. As he also mentioned, I don't think I could have found 2 more different, more unique schools. And we'll step away for a few moments as we head to the bottom of the first. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. And welcome back to UC Santa Barbara on a beautiful 4th of July. Thanks again for joining us. Dave Soberi on the play-by-play. Bottom of the first inning, Pirates and Saints doing battle in the final day of pool play. We mentioned the scenarios in terms of being able to win it in the top of the first, which were obviously wacky line drive, center field, charging in to make the grab as the center fielder Peterson. So 1 pitch and 1 out here for the Pirates in the home half of the first inning. Nellis leading off, who just flew out to center field, followed by Channing Varela, who has 6 hits in 2 days here in the California Cup. Then it's Nick Hernandez, cleanup hitter Kyle Jackson, as we mentioned, fresh off the airplane for this game today. Batting 5th is the catcher, Justin Gomez, followed by Johnny Juarez, Jake Thumb, Drew Seelman, and the DH batting 9th, Tyler Urbach. First pitch to Varela. Fastball high and away, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Left to right across the outfield, Skips, Peterson, and Deandra. Left to right across the infield, Lati, Smith, Hemi, and Dulce Machio. Ball 2, breaking pitch low and away, 2-0 the count. The battery, Hawkins behind the plate, and Matt McGullen is on the mound for the South Bay Saints. Late kick, and here's the pitch. Fly ball, shallow right center field. And the right fielder, Deandra, is there and makes the grab for the second out here in the first inning. Here comes Nick Hernandez. Hernandez hitting .368 on the season, .457 on-base percentage, and one of the guys that really caught the attention of the host Santa Barbara Foresters. In fact, we mentioned yesterday Hernandez and Gomez both were 2 of the guys that Charlie Reynoso said the coach of the Santa Barbara Foresters came over and talked to him about after the game and said both of them were very impressive with the bats. Fastball off plate outside, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Here to Nick Hernandez, just underway on 4th of July. Nice little breeze out here. Also in a little bit of shade today. High fly ball, straightaway center field. Routine grab here for Peterson, who makes the catch after retreating a few steps back to his right. And just like that, 3 up and 3 down. 3 fly ball outs to the outfield by the Pirates. And at the end of 1 full, it remains a scoreless tie between the Pirates and Saints. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
You're never going out of style. Ooh, pretty baby, this world might have gone crazy. The way you say me, who could blame me when I just wanna make you smile? I wanna throw you like Michael, I wanna kiss you like Prince. Let's get it on like Marvin Gaye, like Hathaway. Write a song for you like this. You're over my head, I'm out of my mind, thinking I was born in the wrong time. One of a kind, living in a world gone plastic. Baby, you're so classic. Baby, you're so classic. Baby.
And welcome back as we head to the top of the second inning. No score yet. Saints and Pirates doing battle at UC Santa Barbara. Batting here is Tyler Smith, followed by Blaze Dulcimaccio and Daniel Hawkins. First pitch. Down low, ball 1. 1-0 the count to Tyler Smith, number 5 hitter in the lineup. So 5, 6, and 7 is where Brendan Hornig is at. Brendan Hornig, 6'3", 175, right-handed pitcher. Fastball strike 1, 1-1 the count. Played for Chaffey College the past 2 years and was sensational for them. 2.66 ERA, 5-2 record, all Foothill Conference selection. 47 strikeouts in 64 innings. Fly ball left field over at Johnny Juarez, who is now camping underneath it and makes the grab, backpedaling a few feet back. And as we mentioned, Johnny Juarez is a catcher, so maybe not as accustomed to catching those fly balls out there, especially high fly balls like that one. But he did make the grab, and it wasn't necessarily an adventure. So that'll be the first out here. Here's Blaze Dulcimaccio. First of all, Blaze. You like that name for a hitter? Trying to blaze one off his bat, maybe? Here's the pitch from Hornig. Strike 1, 0-1 the count. Hometown Corona, went to Santiago High School, did Brendan Hornig. He, as we mentioned, checking out 2 D1 schools, Hawaii and Nebraska. Strike 2 on the inside half, and he's a guy that you'll see mixes up his pitches so well, moving from plate, from corner to corner. Also, a number of good pitches, fastball, changeup, and a breaking pitch, a curveball that he'll throw over the plate. And as we mentioned, usually throw it very well. And so Hawaii offered him a scholarship, and he said 75% scholarship. And if you know baseball, in baseball, each team only gets 11 total scholarships to award. So for you to be able to get 100% scholarship, for the most part, doesn't really exist. I mean, obviously, some players get it, fastball upstairs, ball 1 and 2 the count. But basically what we're just trying to say is 75% is a great scholarship from the University of Hawaii. Meanwhile, he's going to check out Nebraska in the future, and no offer yet there, but it seems like it's going to trickle in very soon. Fly ball, shallow center field. Jeff Nellis making the grab. As Jeff Nellis kept charging after it, the center fielder Seelman couldn't get to it because it was in that sort of bloop area. And actually, typically you talk about the Bermuda Triangle being between either a short third and left fielder or a second, first, and right fielder, but that was almost like a Bermuda Triangle scenario where you had all 3 guys crashing in, the shortstop and second baseman actually chasing it outside, and Seelman crashing in. And Jeff Nellis calling off his outfielder and making the grab for the second out. Here's Hawkins. Strike on the outside corner, 0-1 the count. So Brendan Hornig, as we mentioned, from fresh from Hawaii, then going to check out Nebraska. And we were talking about the clash in culture and just how different these two places are, as you can imagine. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 0-2 the count. For one of them, you go to the Midwest. The other, you're on the beach all the time, which is, I'm sure, a draw for a California kid. But Hornady actually said he likes Nebraska because he likes the big school atmosphere and playing in the Big Ten and being able to watch Big Ten football. Called strike 3. Down he goes. And so that's the second strikeout here for Hornig, who was only allowed one base runner in the form of a walk at the end of 1.5 innings. And at the end of 1.5, it remains a scoreless tie between the Pirates and Saints. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
Lately, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Yeah, we'll be counting stars. Swing my heart across the line. In my face is flashing signs. Seek it out and ye shall find. Old, but I'm not that old. Young, but I'm not that bold. And I don't think the world is sold. I'm just doing what we're told. I feel something so right. Doing the wrong thing. I feel something so wrong. Doing the right thing. Everything that kills me makes me feel alive. Yeah, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. Baby, I've been playing hard. Said no more count.
And welcome back as we head to the home half of the second inning. 4, 5, and 6 to up. Kyle Jackson, Justin Gomez, and Johnny Juarez. Brendan Hornick, he's been going so quickly in those 2 innings that it's been hard to tell his whole story. And so we're going to have to be continued in the 3rd inning. But here's Kyle Jackson, who, just like Hornick, just came fresh off a recruiting trip. Takes strike 1, 0-1 the count. Well, Kyle Jackson's recruiting trip spanned over 4 states. It wasn't just at Hawaii, as he went through ground ball left side foul, 0-2 the count. He landed in Kansas and checked out Midland University there. Went through Oklahoma, Nebraska, saw Sterling College in Nebraska, Oklahoma Wesleyan in Oklahoma, before going to Kentucky and checking out Georgetown College in Kentucky. Fastball away, ball 1, 1-2 the count. All these are D2 schools and good ones at that. Georgetown College left a pretty good impression on him, and that's the one that he is trying to target and trying to go to. Swing and a miss, strike 3, down he goes, though, here. So that'll be the first out, as all 4 Pirates batters have been retired so far by Matt McGullen. Here's Justin Gomez. Gomez, the left-handed hitter, digging in. 385 batting average, 487 on base percentage. And you talk about the batting average on base percentage. Typically, you want that to be 100 points higher. Here's the pitch. Ball low and away, ball 1, 1-0 the count. The reason you want that is because it shows that, well, first of all, obviously, when you're hitting 385, your on-base percentage for the most part is going to be at least 385, but it shows you that he's also disciplined, can also draw walks and reach on fielder's choices or, whatever it is, as this one paints the black on the outside corner. Strike 1. 6 on the board, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out to Justin Gomez, who has been very hot all season long. 10 runs scored, 8 RBIs. Breaking pitch called a strike on the outside again, and it's 1-2. So the Pirates, after offensive fireworks for their first 2 games on 4th of July weekend, so far here, 4 batters up and 4 down, and now 5 up and 5 down. As the pitcher, Matt McGullen, to his credit, 3 in a row on the outside corner, none of which Gomez even offered at. So strike 3 called, the second strikeout of the day for McGullen. And here is Johnny Juarez. Johnny Juarez, as we mentioned, out there in left field, typically a catcher for the Buccaneers, and so a little bit of a difference here for him But he got to make the trip up north and got to have a little bit of a fun day. Strike 1, 0-1 the count, as he was a big part of that 9-8 win yesterday against Caneo Oaks. In fact, went 3 for 5 on the day, 3 RBIs, a run scored, and also got to enjoy the hotel life. Check swing, yes, he did go, 0-2 the count. So Matt McGolan has been very, very strong, as he has set down all 5 Pirates he's faced so far and now had 0-2 the count. Here's the pitch. Away, ball 1, 1-2 to Juarez. So Juarez, when I saw him coming out of the hotel this morning, I first of all told him good job yesterday, obviously. Great job by him to come up here and produce the way he did. And he said that his manager, Kevin Bowler, had called them and said, "You are not getting traded to the Pirates." Here's the pitch from McGolan. 1-2 misses low, ball 2, 2-2 the count. And you'll see that he's a very disciplined hitter at the plate as well. Typical catcher, a good understanding of the strike zone. But he was excited because he said he played FIFA all night long with some of the Pirates in the hotel. Said it was a blast. Hoping that he can get his kicks here in this game. This one misses low for ball 3, 3-2 the count. So Johnny Juarez, after falling behind in an 0-2 hole, works it to a full count here. Payoff pitch to come. Pirates looking for just their first base runner of the day here in the bottom of the second inning. No score yet. Here's the pitch. Outside, ball 4. So Juarez is, in fact, the first base runner of the day for the Pirates, and he draws a walk. And here comes Jake Thumb. Jake Thumb, fresh off a game-winning hit yesterday. And really, it's something that you hope can really swing the momentum in his favor for the rest of the season. Because prior to that point, he was batting under 150. And so that game-winning hit, you think, might be the beginning of something big for him, because pickoff throw to first. Juarez sliding back head first safely. But really, this is a guy who did a lot of damage with the bat a couple years ago at Orange Coast College, where he won a state junior collegiate championship. And, you know, among other things, he was actually roommates with Andrew Alvarez and Greg Espinosa, both of whom are coming back next week from Houston Baptist. Pitch misses low and away for ball 1, 1-0 the count. So maybe he'll feel at home to, you know, see both Alvarez and Espinosa back with the Pirates. And as we mentioned, his former roommates over there at Orange Coast. Once again, a pickoff throw over to first, and Juarez sliding back to the bag safely. 1-0 the count to Thumb. Hometown of Claremont, went to Claremont High School, another pickoff throw. He enjoys surfing, he says, as I'm sure many of the California boys on this team enjoy to do. Although in the Inland Empire, you have to make a little bit of a drive to get to the beach, but not too bad of a drive. This one is fouled down the first base line by Thumb. So Jake Thumb with a 1-1 count, 2 outs, bottom of the second inning. Each team with only one base runner in the first 2 frames, and each of them were on walks. Here comes McGolan working out of the stretch from the left side of the rubber. Pitch fired, breaking pitch high and tight, ball 2, 2-1 the count. Meanwhile, Johnny Juarez bluffed over there at first base, and that got the attention of the first baseman, basically yelling to make the throw down to second. But even, you know, I think they don't realize that he is typically a catcher by trade. Another pickoff throw to first. He's safe, but that was pretty close. But Juarez maybe trying to mess with the pitcher a little bit, as they've been throwing lots of pickoff throws over there to first. And sometimes you just do that hard break just to kind of play with them, and just to maybe potentially, as a fastball misses upstairs for ball 3, 3-1 in the count, maybe just draw a balk. And it's something that we've seen earlier this season. In fact, a couple times, Pirates pitchers balking in similar situations, one of which really hurt the Pirates against the Force in that final game of the doubleheader last Sunday. Coming set is McGolan. Here's the pitch. Swung and fouled back, and it's 3-2. Might have been ball 4, as it looked like it was high and in, but Thumb on a 3-1 count, he was looking for his pitch to drive and thought that might have been the one. So obviously, 3-1 count is one of the more aggressive counts that you can really take a big hack at if you're a hitter, because it's usually a fastball and it's usually something good to drive. Now it's a full count. Here comes the pitch from McGowan. The runner goes and it misses inside for ball 4. And Suarez, who was moving on the pitch, will be safe anyways as it's a walk. But the thing was that the ball actually got away from the catcher, so you were thinking maybe potentially could Juarez possibly take third, but Johnny, thinking better of it, just rounded around second and stayed put. Meanwhile, the Saints will have their first mound visit today with Matt McGowan. And for McGowan, he retired the first 5 he's faced and actually hasn't even allowed a hit yet. But there's 2 men on and 2 outs, and Drew Seelman at the plate. So the Pirates trying to take advantage here of a couple mistakes, allowing a couple walks in a row, 1 to Juarez and 1 to Thumb, as Drew Seelman digs in for the first time of the day. 5'11", 170, right-handed bat from Cal State Bakersfield, where he'll be a sophomore next season. This season part of a team that won the WAC and went to the tournament. Played in the UCLA Regional. Strike 1 on the outside corner. 0-1 the count. Did some damage as Cal State Bakersfield actually did win 1 game. They lost a couple times, though, to UCLA in the regional, and ended up getting eliminated by them, but they did eliminate 1 team. And so Cal State Bakersfield, definitely an upstart D1 program. We have 3 players of theirs on this team. Ground ball off the edge of the bat, gets past the pitcher, and running it out is Drew Seelman. And Seelman will be safe at first base. And so now the bases are full of Pirates. And the ball hasn't even left the infield. In fact, the ball hasn't even made its way to an infielder in general, as that one just getting past the pitcher. And it's scored a hit here at the stadium at UC Santa Barbara, as the pitcher couldn't really make a play on that one. And here comes Tyler Urbach. So Tyler Urbach in a huge situation here in the bottom of the second inning with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Meanwhile, Johnny Juarez looks like he's a bit shaken up as he was walking down the third base line with his helmet off. But it looks like he's going to remain in the game here for the Pirates in this, as we mentioned, big situation for Tyler Urbach. Urbach waiting the pitch here from McGowan. First pitch to Urbach. Down low, ball 1, 1-0 count. 6'1", 185 right-handed hitter from Fordham University, where he'll be a sophomore next year. Very good academics at Fordham. Majors in business administration, hoping to go about his business here with the bases loaded. Swung and fouled at the screen over towards the first base side, and the on-deck hitter, Jeff Nellis, as the ball just flew over Nellis' head. And it's 1-1. Tyler Urbach, just 1 plate appearance yesterday, but it was a big one. He drew a walk, and he continued the rally and the momentum in that bottom of the 9th inning. Here's the pitch. Low and away, ball 2, 2-1 the count. So showing a really good eye at the plate is Tyler Urbach, and Charlie Reynoso really saying that he thinks a lot of him in terms of just his personality. He's just a very accountable young man, and always one of the first people to text Charlie about whether or not he can be at a game or if he's running late or whatever the matter may be. 2-1. Oh, just called a strike, and it's 2-2. As everybody from the Pirates in the dugout was saying good eye with Charlie Reynoso, the third base coach, included. And so it's now 2-2 here with 2 outs to Tyler Urbach with the bases loaded. Juarez on third, Thumb on second, Seelman on first. Time call for at the plate. 2-2 the count, as we mentioned. Hometown of Pasadena, went to Harvard Westlake. Very, very, also good academic high school and a great sports program there. Here's the pitch. 2-2, check swing, and yes, he did go. And the home plate umpire says the catcher stepped on the plate. So that'll do it here for the home half of the second inning. And the Pirates threaten, but can't get any across as they leave the bases loaded on a strikeout by Tyler Urbach. So that'll do it for the first 2 innings. Still no score. Pirates and Saints. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
Baby, you a song. You make me wanna roll my windows down and cruise. I got my windows down in the radio.
And welcome back. We are now in the top of the third inning. No score yet between the Pirates and the South Bay Saints. First pitch from Hornig. Outside ball 1. 1-0 the count. Well, the Pirates really threatening in that home half of the second inning after the first 5 were retired by the starting pitcher for the South Bay Saints. Ball 2. This one misses inside. It was a fastball. And all of a sudden the Pirates had 2 walks in a row. And then the hit by Seelman, which basically deflected off the pitcher and didn't really even leave the infield. Strike 1, 2-1 count. And then all of a sudden had the bases loaded for Urbach. But as we mentioned, Urbach couldn't come through in that situation, strikes out. And so remains that 0-0 game. Breaking pitch low and away, ball 3, 3-1 the count. So only 1 base runner allowed so far for Hornig in the first 2 innings. That was Elijah Skips, who he walked. Down a 3-ball count here. Fastball strike 2, 3-2 the count. So Hornig, as we mentioned, cruising so far through the first 2 innings that he's pitched. And cruising back from the plane flight from Hawaii. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That is the 3rd strikeout victim of the day for Hornig. And as we mentioned, once again, just the difference between Hawaii and Nebraska, and saying that he loved to stay in Hawaii and looks forward to the visit at Nebraska, and saying that the appeal to Nebraska, maybe not because it's not as similar, obviously, as California like Hawaii is, but as we were mentioning just that really quickly at the end of the last inning, that Big Ten atmosphere with the football team was actually one of the things that he mentioned to me, the fact that not only just for the experience of playing the Big Ten as a baseball player, but also being able to go to the football games, also he felt like was a really big draw, and being a part of a big-time school and big-time, sports program like that. Fastball misses inside, ball 2. 2-0 the count here to Kyle Henme, the number 9 hitter in the lineup for the Saints. Right-handed hitter with the open stance. You know what's interesting? Here's the pitch. Strike 1. 2-1 the count. I find it interesting, and I assume that the Saints must have blue uniforms and yellow uniforms. But the Saints, the players are wearing the yellow uniforms, but the coaches are wearing the blue ones. High fly ball, left center field. Johnny Juarez charging after it, making the call for it, right in front of Drew Seelman, makes the grab. As there were a bunch of kind of woos, as they thought that maybe the left fielder and center fielder would collide there, as they seemed to be clashing into each other. But Seelman, at the last moment, alertly running behind Johnny Juarez, who made the catch. And once again, I know we mentioned this a couple times, both today and yesterday, but Juarez is typically a catcher, so Juarez not used to, potentially being called off by a center fielder when he's chasing after a ball in that type of situation. But he's done a great job so far in left field for these 2 games. Swing and a miss, strike 1. 0-1 the count to the leadoff hitter, Kyle Moore. And so Juarez, he's retired a couple batters here today, as a couple fly ball outs have gone to him in left field. The wind is right to left. Ooh, 58-footer. As it was a breaking pitch that broke about, as we mentioned, a couple of feet in front of the plate. And so it's 1-1 here for Hornig. Well, the reason I mentioned the flag, as we see it in left center field, you might be able to see it on your stream as well. In fact, I believe yes, you can see it. It's flying from right to left, and the reason I mention that is because for the most part this week we've seen it fly from left to right. Here's a pitch, strike 2, fastball, and it's 1-2. Well, Brandon Hornig has looked really, really good so far in these 2 2/3 innings that he's pitched, only allowing 1 base runner and striking out 3, looking for strikeout victim number 4 on a 1-2 count against Kyle Moore. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, and it gets by Gomez. That is strikeout victim 4, but the Saints get the base runner on base as Gomez couldn't handle it. So South Bay Saints get their second man on base after a strikeout swinging.
Now batting left fielder, number 26.
Here's Elijah Skips. Skip was the only other player on the Saints to reach base, and he drew a walk in the first inning. We always talk about when you have to get 4 outs in an inning. You never like that if you're the team on the field. Here's the pitch. This is low, ball 1, 1-0 the count. So the pitch was kind of off the plate and outside. Breaking pitch that bit a lot. And the hitter swinging at it, but Gomez couldn't block it as it traveled all the way back to the backstop. And Moore running it out and getting to first base. High and away, ball 2, 2-0 the count. So Brendan Hornig this season, 15 innings pitched, 1-1 record. 4.21 ERA, but you look at the 4.21 ERA and you really look at that game against the Force where he gave up a bunch of runs, swing and a miss, strike 1, 2-1 the count. And so that's why the ERA is kind of bloated a little bit in that sense, because obviously we've talked about the Force being a top 25 team in the nation and how good they were, and kind of knocking around Hornig a little bit in that game. Here's the 2-1 offering. High and away, ball 3, 3-1 the count. Well, 3 batters have been faced in the inning, and Hornig struck out 2 of them and got the other to fly out to left field. And so you might ask, well, how is the inning still going on? Well, the runner on first, Moore, struck out swinging, but the catcher, Gomez, as we mentioned, couldn't make the grab. And so that's how the inning continued. 3-1, fouled down the third base line, and it's 3-2. Hornig this season, also a 1.00 whip. So when you talk about that, that's pretty good. It's 1 walk or hit per inning pitched. That's what that means. Walks and hits allowed per inning pitched. So when you have a 1.00 that's pretty good. Meanwhile, the strikeout to walk ratio has been great. As I say that, though, he issues a walk, and now there's 2 base runners on board here for the Saints just like that. In this game, he has 3 strikeouts to 2 walks. So for the season, he's going to have 19 strikeouts to 5 walks, which is pretty much 4-1 average. Just needs to get 1 more strikeout, and it would be that 4-1, as the manager, Charlie Reynoso, is going to head out to the mound just to talk things over with Hornig here in a scoreless tie, top of the 3rd inning. All of a sudden, the Saints, kind of like the last inning for the Pirates, getting a couple base runners and maybe trying to take advantage here. Still looking for their first hit is South Bay. Has 2 runners on board right now. One of them struck out swinging. That's the guy standing on second, Kyle Moore. The other one drawing a walk, Elijah Skips. So Skips has been on base 2 times. Saints have only had 3 base runners so far in this game, and Skips has been on base 2 of the times. Here's Bryce Peterson, 0 for 1, struck out swinging in the first inning. Peterson, the number 3 hit in the lineup, so big spot for the Saints here to try to take advantage of a runner in scoring position and try to take a lead for the first time in this game. Breaking pitch in the dirt, ball 1. Nice block by Justin Gomez. Makes sure that those 2 runners stay put on first and second base. 1-0 the count. Couple outs. Top of 3rd inning. Still no score between the Pirates and Saints. Dave Sobera on the play-by-play. Wishing you a happy 4th of July. Swing and a miss. Strike 1. 1-1 the count. On what is a great day here for some baseball. It'll be another doubleheader at UC Santa Barbara. As you know, pool play. 4 teams doing battle in the south of the pool. And so the Foresters will take on Caneo Oaks at 4 o'clock after this one. Strike 2 on the inside half, and it's 1-2. So Hornig, as we mentioned, likes mixing up the pitches a lot, likes going in, likes going out. And now up on a 1-2 count. Let's see what he can deal right here. Working from the right side of the rubber out of the stretch. The right-handed pitcher comes set, peers in at his catcher's signs, and likes what he sees. The runner goes, called the ball at the plate, and so both runners advancing 90 feet, and it's now 2-2. So that could be a big play right there for the South Bay Saints, as they now have 2 runners in scoring position here against Brendan Hornig. But Hornig is going to try to retire the hitter at the plate, who is now down 2 strikes. 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And he's called out at the plate as the runner tried running the first, thinking that Gomez might not have made the catch. Charlie Reynoso is actually going to talk to Gomez as not necessarily adventure behind the plate, but maybe just kind of trying to clear things up and telling him about how to block that one strikeout that he didn't block. But for Hornig, Well, he strikes out 3 in the inning, but it's not striking out the side because we had the fly ball out to left as well. And he has 5 strikeouts now at the end of 2.5. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. And welcome back, because we didn't waste any time in between innings. And here is Jeff Nellis up at the dish to start off the bottom of the 3rd inning for the Pirates. First pitch to him, a swing and a miss. 0-1 the count to the leadoff hitter in the lineup for the Inland Valley Pirates, batting .277 on the season, .394 on base percentage for the men in red. Here is the pitch for Matt McGolan, high and away for ball 1. 1-1 the count. Nellis 0 for 1 in this game. Flew out to center field. 15 runs on the season, leads the team. Here's the pitch. Low and away, ball 2, 2-1 the count. And so anytime you have a good leadoff hitter, you would hope that he would do just that. Hope he would be one of the top leading run producers on the team, which Nellis is. Here's the 2-1. Low and away, ball 3, 3-1 the count. So Jeff Nellis, 6'0", 185. Hometown of San Marcos. Went to Mission Hills High School. Digging in and awaiting a 3-1 pitch. Looking to sit dead red on fastball. It is a fastball, and this is lined to deep center field. And now making the play is the center fielder about 2 feet away from the warning track for the first out here in the 3rd inning. So center fielder Peterson making the second put out on Jeff Nellis in the game. The first one was more of a shallow fly ball to center field. This one, Nellis putting good drive on it and driving it about 390 feet down there, but as we mentioned, just about 5 feet away from the warning track. And so it's just a long out for the Pirates. And here's Channing Varela. Varela swinging first pitch, ground ball up the middle. His counterpart, the second baseman, behind the bag, but he won't be able to make the throw, so Varela is going to beat it out for an infield single here. So the Pirates now, with their second base hit of the day, neither one leaving the infield. But the name of the game is getting base runners and scoring runs, and so now the Pirates trying to build upon this hit by Channing Varela as Nick Hernandez, the number 3 hitter, comes up to the plate for the second time, 0 for 1, flew out to center field. Hernandez, when you look at the fact that he has scored 12 runs and hit in 7, I mean, it's very impressive because for Hernandez, he's appeared in 13 games, so pretty much averaging 1 run scored per game, and then pretty much averaging an RBI every other game. Here's the pitch. Fastball, strike 1, 0-1 the count. Just catching the outside corner to Hernandez. So as we mentioned, Nick, with 12 runs scored in 13 games, that's pretty good. So he has definitely been a big part of the offense as we have a pickoff throw over to first base. Well, you like all these guys in the top of the lineup. Nellis, as we mentioned, scoring 15 on the season. Varela, 11. And as we mentioned, Hernandez with 12. Another pickoff throw. This time staying up on his 2 feet is Channing Varela. And it remains 0-1 to Nick Hernandez at the plate. Nick Hernandez, left-handed hitter, 6'2", 200. Another pickoff throw. Headed to Cal Poly Pomona is Hernandez, where he'll be a freshman next season. Charter Oak High School, first team All-League, first team All-Academic. And it's funny, or maybe it's not funny, maybe that's not the right word for it, but a lot of these Pirates have not only received accolades on the field, but also off the field in the classroom. Breaking pitch, gets by the catcher. Channing Varela broke late and slides in head first to the bag. And there's a little bit of a roar there from the first base dugout of the Pirates, who for the 3rd time in this pool play are in the first base dugout, and as we mentioned, they just, I guess, feel comfortable because that's where they usually are at home. As Channing Varela diagnosing the pitch in the dirt, seeing that it was going to break before the play, read it and headed down to second base and gets the extra bag on the wild pitch. Hernandez now with an RBI opportunity on a 1-1, lifts this one high to shallow right field, called for by the second baseman who makes the catch for the second out here in the bottom of the third inning. So Henme calling off the right fielder, Deandra, and there's 2 away, and here's Kyle Jackson. So we mentioned Kyle Jackson traveling to 4 different states earlier in this week and fresh off the airplane yesterday, and then traveling up north to play in this game here today. So when you look at all the runs that were scored by the Pirates in this previous 2 games, to be missing the guy that you have in the cleanup spot today, you got to think it can only get even better. Swings at the first pitch and flies this one foul out of play down the third base line. Charging after it was Lottie, third baseman, and just out of his reach, and it's 0-1. Kyle Jackson, 6'1", 205. Did a lot of damage at Chaffey College. Was a first-team all-conference selection as a freshman. Here's the pitch. Fouled. And it's 0-2. Then he broke his hand in 2014, so he had to redshirt. And then he played this past season as a sophomore. So he's a redshirt junior to be, as we mentioned, looking for a home for his final 2 years of eligibility. Here's the 0-2. High, ball 1, fastball, 1-2 the count. Kyle Jackson, one of several returning All-Stars for the Pirates in the SCCBL, although he was an All-Star in 2013, and we mentioned his stats in 2014 were just as good or very close and almost was an All-Star snub in 2014. But in 2013, he led the team with a .340 batting average. Stepping off the mound is the pitcher. This year, hitting .329, so right on par with that. 14 runs scored, 10 RBIs on the season for Kyle Jackson. Jackson awaiting the 1-2 offering. With Varela on second base, takes the low away, a breaking pitch, and it's 2-2. So Kyle Jackson, another thing that we talked about was the fact that Georgetown College was scouting him at one of our games earlier in the season. And he was very, very excited for them to come. And he mentioned that he really thought their facilities and everything about their campus, really impressed him. As the pitcher, McGowan, was looking back at second, nobody covering on. Time called for by Jackson as he was in the batter's box for a long time. As McGowan didn't know exactly what he wanted to deliver there. But he said the scout who came left after his first 2 at-bats. And after his first 2 at-bats, he was 0 for 2. A couple groundouts. Called strike 3 on the inside corner. He didn't like that one, and down he goes. But later in that game, he ended up hitting a home run and a double. And so when the head coach called him and said, "I heard you had 2 groundouts," he said, "No, I went 2 for 4 with a home run and a double." But the head coach kind of laughed it off, and he kind of threw his scout under the bus at that moment. He's like, "I can't believe my scout left after just 2 at-bats." But here he strikes out, and that'll do it for the third inning. Still a scoreless tie between the Pirates and South Bay. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
I was left to my own devices.
welcome back as we head to the top of the fourth inning. No score yet between the Saints and Pirates, as finding a way on base has been a major struggle for each team. Pirates with a couple hits. South Bay still looking for their first. Here's Jason DeAndrea, the right fielder, taking low and away for ball one. 1-0 the count. DeAndrea is 0 for 1. Flew out to shallow center field. On the play, if you remember, shortstop and second baseman Burrell and Nellis were charging fast and furious after it. Also coming in was Sealman, as this one's fouled back and over the screen. And it's 1-1. And Jeff Nellis making the play, calling everybody off. So as we mentioned, and DeAndrea is 0 for 1 with that fly out to the shortstop Nellis. Hornig working out of the windup with a 1-1 count. Here's the pitch. Called strike 2. 1-2 the count. Well, we're not directly behind home plate, as you can see. We're high atop home plate. And I'm sure you enjoy that because obviously it's a lot easier to see the entire field. But can't see the strike zone as well for the home plate umpire. Line drive up the middle and trying to dive for it, or it looked like Sealman would try to dive for it, but it gets down for the first base hit of the day for the Saints. And so Sealman thinking maybe he had the chance, but last second kind of pulling up and knowing that if he had tried laying out for it and it got past him, that could have ended up being an inside the park home run. So that was really smart to just let it fall to the ground. And here comes Tyler Smith, 0 for 1, flew out to left field. So Brendan Hornig now in the fourth inning, allowing his first hit of the day. There's only been 3 altogether from each team. Here's the pitch. Strike 1, 0-1 the count. What we're beginning to say is, to me, the strike zone of the home plate umpire looks pretty expanded, pretty wide. But once again, we are high atop home plate as opposed to right behind it. But just upstairs, it seems a bit wide. Likes calling the outside pitch, that's for sure. Here's the pitch. And it works to the Pirates' benefit there, as it's now 0-2. Once again, we are high atop home plate, so we don't have the best look at it. But we are, as you can see on your stream, pretty much sitting directly behind the plate. And it looked like that one could have been off the plate as well. But Hornig will take it for an 0-2 count. Looking for strikeout victim number 6. Swung on and fouled down the third base line and out of play over to the adjacent porta potties here at UC Santa Barbara. I was pretty surprised, actually, to see some porta potties here. Now, granted, they do have 4 as opposed to 1 at Cal Poly Pomona, but I was surprised to not see a bathroom for UC Santa Barbara D1 school. Hornig out of the stretch from the right side of the rubber. The 0-2 lifted in the left field, deep left field. And Juarez starting to his left before having to head back to his right and make the catch for the first out here in the top of the fourth inning. So Johnny's been busy out there. Third time a fly ball's been hit out to him. And they always say that when you got a guy playing out of position, ball always seems to find him. And so far, so good for the Pirates here in this second game that he's played out in left field. This also is interesting to me because this gives Kevin Bowler some options maybe for the Buccaneers. Because if you look at the Bucs right now, they have 3 different catchers, all of whom are among the top 5 hitters in the team. Strike 1, 0-1 the count. So if Johnny Juarez is okay with playing left field and you end up being able to basically use all 3 hitters, 1 at DH, 1 at catcher, and 1 in left field, that would be huge for the Bucs. Here's the pitch. Down low, ball 1, 1-1 the count. Meanwhile, speaking of the Inland Valley Buccaneers, they enjoyed a very successful Friday as they played a doubleheader. And in the doubleheader, they scored 27 total runs and won 20-3 in the first game and 7-2 in the second game. Here's a pitch, high and away, fastball, ball 2-2-1 the count. So the Buccaneers, if only I was able to see that 27-run day, I'm sure very tired would I have been by the 27th run scored altogether. Here's the pitch. Lined up the middle off the shin of Hornig, and it bounces right back to Hernandez, who will step on the bag. So the unusual 1-3 in the sense that basically Hornig kicking it over to first base, and Vic Espinosa is going to come out here to check on Hornig as it was hit off the left ankle of Hornig, who is kicking and shaking it out. Meanwhile, DeAndrea advanced to second as Espinosa checking on Hornig, the man who has looked very, very good so far, only allowing 1 hit and striking out 5 in 3 2/3 innings pitched. So you hope when he's looked so good that he can continue to be on the mound and continue to, hold this team scoreless, because that's what they've done to the Pirates so far as well. And it's been interesting just in the sense that the Pirates have been getting into some offensive battles as of late. As we saw a 9-8 game, the Pirates won yesterday against Canano Oaks, an 11-5 game on Thursday that they lost, but still scoring 5 runs against the number 3 team in the nation, not too shabby. And then the previous day, a doubleheader against Team San Diego, where they had a 6-5 win and a 5-4 win. And so, those are still games where you're scoring a good number of runs. Maybe not, 5-4 when you look at the 2 games we had the past 2 days, maybe a little bit small now, but still, it's not like the typical in the past 3-1, 4-1, something like that type of game that we've seen from the Pirates in 2013 and 14. Hornig is ready. Fastball swung and foul back. Strike 1. 0-1 the count to Daniel Hawkins, who's 0 for 1 with his strikeout looking. So Hornig getting some practice pitches and goes right back to the mound to try to get out of this inning unscathed. Does have a runner in scoring position right now. That's DeAndrea, but also does have 2 outs, so the focus will be to somehow, some way, retire Daniel Hawkins, the right-handed hitter at the plate for South Bay. Nice breaking pitch. Strike 2, 0-2 the count, as Hawkins could only stare and wonder, why did this just happen to me? As it looked like it was one of those sort of your knees buckling type pitches that basically there was nothing he could do and basically say, I just don't want to see that pitch again. 0-2, this will be a waste pitch probably from Hornig. Here's the pitch. Fastball called strike 3. He's not going to waste any pitches as he's going to strike out the hitter looking for the second time in the game. That was Hawkins. And 6 strikeouts now in 4 innings from Brendan Hornig. At the end of 3.5, still no score. Pirates and Saints. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I said quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up, already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound, like thunder gonna shake the crowd. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, 'cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger, a fighter, dancing through the fire. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar louder, louder than a lion. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. You're gonna hear me roar.
And welcome back as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Pirates bats trying to roar here against the South Bay Saints. No score yet. And base runners have been few and far in between, as there's only been 3 total hits. Swinging a foul back by Justin Gomez, 0-1 the count to Justin, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout looking. Well, we've chronicled how well Hornig has been pitching in his 4 innings, striking out 6 and only allowing 1 hit. Meanwhile, McGolan on the opposite side, ball 1-1 the count off the plate outside. McGolan has been quietly begun going about his business as well. And he has 4 strikeouts and only 2 hits allowed. Line drive up the middle. Shortstop making a nice play deep on the outfield grass and spins around and throws out Gomez. So a nice play by Smith here to retire Justin Gomez, the leadoff hitter in the home half of the 4th inning. Here comes number 4, Johnny Juarez. Juarez coming up for the second time today. Drew a walk in his first plate appearance on a full count pitch and actually was down 0-2 and ended up working a walk. You talk a lot when you call it a free pass, but that was certainly earned by Juarez. Swinging first pitch, ground ball left side at the high corner. Lottie makes a throwing error, so Juarez gets on base again, as that was nowhere near the bag. Juarez on board for the second time here. And now you go to the hero from yesterday, Jake Thumb. So Jake Thumb with the game-winning RBI single with 2 outs and the bases loaded. And the bottom of the 9th, drew a walk in his first plate appearance here today. And actually it was a similar scenario where there were 2 down in the inning in the second, and both Juarez and Thumb reached on walks. Pirates hoping to do that once again. Ground ball left side, just foul, as it bounced in the field of play, but moved its way into foul territory before going over the bag down the third base line. And it's 0-1 to Thumb, who, as we've been seeing as of late, is really a pull hitter. Dead pull hitter. Number of foul balls cracked down the left field line. And also the game-winning hit was to left field. And here was this last one, fouled to the third base line. 0-1 the count to Jake. Here's the pitch. Fastball up, ball 1. 1-1 the count to Jake Thumb. Another guy, much like a redshirt year, really, where you're working your way back into the full swing of things. He was academically ineligible this past season. Pickoff throw to first, so say much like a redshirt year because he didn't lose eligibility and also didn't play throughout the regular season for Orange Coast College. Another pickoff throw. It's funny because you talk about nicknames sometimes, and his last name is Thumb, but his nickname is Thummer. And Thummer is actually a longer nickname than his last name. Fly ball, right field, slicing foul, and out of play. Off that roof, as we mentioned, that covers the bullpen down the third base line. Meanwhile, Dylan Stablein, one of the pitchers on the Pirates, picking up that foul baseball. And I saw him before the game, and he says he has his A stuff here today. So we figure to see him in relief later on. Although right now, Hornig has been on fire. Absolutely sensational. But you don't figure that any Pirate, for the most part, is going to go 9 innings. So we do figure to see Stablein later on. Check swing and fouled by Thumb. It remains 1-2 with 1 out. Bottom of the 4th inning, no score. Matt McGolan still on the mound for South Bay. He has done a very good job at keeping these Pirates hitters in check so far. Pirates team that, as we mentioned, has been clicking on all cylinders offensively throughout this past week. And we continue to say throughout this past week, is this the week that sort of changes it and turns it all around? As Wednesday sweeping a doubleheader, Thursday playing the number 3 team in the nation and playing them tough. Line drive right back at the pitcher who blocks it and will flip over to first to retire Thumb. And so tough luck there for Thumb as he absolutely crushed it. But it just happened to make contact with the pitcher. And so South Bay gets the second out here in the inning. Meanwhile, we're going to have the Saints' entire infield as well as their coach checking on the pitcher McGolan, who was just hit by the line drive in the chest, much like Hornig was hit by a ball, a comebacker in the previous inning, although Hornig was hit in the ankle. And here is McGolan hit pretty much, as we mentioned, right in the stomach, the midsection. So, long delay here as the entire infield came out to check on him, and the coach as well. And it looks like we're going to see some practice pitches from McGolan. just to make sure that everything's okay, just like we saw in the last inning for Brendan Hornick. Meanwhile, Johnny Juarez headed over to the third base coach Charlie Reynoso to talk things over in this situation with 2 outs, and he is the runner in scoring position with Drew Seelman at the dish. Drew Seelman, 1 of 2 hits in the game, and really neither one of the hits even left the infield, as Seelman just hit it past the pitcher who it kind of deflected off of and couldn't make the play to first. And then Channing Varela had the other single up the middle that the second baseman actually gloved but couldn't make the throw in time to retire Varela. First pitch, swinging, line drive right back at the pitcher, and this one he catches. And so a liner to the pitcher, and that'll do it for the 4th inning. At the end of 4, still no score. Pirates and Saints. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. And welcome back. To the top of 5 we go. Dave Silberi on the play-by-play. No score yet between the Pirates and the Saints. 8, 9, and 1 due up here. And the top of the 5th. Lotte at the plate. 0 for 1. Struck out. First pitch swinging. Fouls it into the adjacent softball field here at UC Santa Barbara. The Gaucho softball field, which saw, I think it was beer league softball yesterday. Here's the pitch. Ground ball foul at the plate, and it's 0-2. As pretty much right when we were leaving, what looked to be a beer league softball game got underway, and they were very, very loud and vocal. So Hornick way ahead, 0-2 the count to Lotte, looking to strike him out for the 2nd time today. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3, down he goes. 7th strikeout. And 4 1/3 innings of work for Hornick. And so this is big for the Pirates. As we mentioned, this was the guy that originally was intended to pitch against the Santa Barbara Foresters, but obviously he had a little bit of an important trip to make to Hawaii that we chronicled earlier in this game, and so he wasn't here. He didn't return back until yesterday. Was actually at the game yesterday, but I think Charlie just deciding more or less to rest him because he had just gotten off, with the 5-6 hour flight from Hawaii. And so he didn't pitch yesterday, but here he is today. 1-0, and it's 2-0, fastball high and in to Kyle Henme. Henme's 0 for 1, flew out to left field. So Henme trying to find a way to get on base here and turn it back over to the top of the lineup in a good position. Hornick, meanwhile, trying to retire him, but fires another one up for ball 3, 3-0 the count. So Hornick falling behind the number 9 hitter in the lineup. And it's something, as we mentioned, that this season, here is the 3-0 offering. Fastball right down the pipe, 3-1, taking all the way, was Henme. Something that plagued the Pirates this season were the walks. But Hornick is a guy who really, that has not been the case. Just coming into the day, 3 walks on the season. Line drive up the middle for a base hit, the 2nd hit of the day for the Saints. So Henme the number 9 hitter finding a way to get on board here. And now we go back to the top of the lineup, and Kyle Moore. Kyle Moore's 0 for 2. Lined out to the third baseman on the very first pitch of the game. Kyle Jackson laying out, making the diving backhanded grab. And then struck out swinging in the third inning, but actually reached base because Gomez couldn't handle it. And ended up advancing as far as third, where he was stranded. Fastball strike 1. 0-1 the count here for Brendan Hornig going against the leadoff hitter, Kyle Moore. So the Pirates hoping to just come out of this 3 days of full play with 2 wins. And as we mentioned, the scenarios at the top of the broadcast, try to keep alive a situation where they could potentially still win pool play. Hornig set. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. 0-2 the count. Gomez doing a nice job blocking the plate there. I believe the home plate umpire just patted him on the back. And really good job in the sense that the runner on first didn't get to advance over into scoring position here with 1 out in the top of the 5th inning. Hornig, who has been electric, towing the rubber, firing, ground ball foul, still 0-2. Well, Hornig doesn't really throw any waste pitches, does he? As he's coming to a hitter on an 0-2 again. He actually struck out a hitter to end the last inning. That was Hawkins on an 0-2 pitch. And this previous 0-2 pitch was fouled. Here's the pitch. Called strike 3, and down he goes. Another strikeout, the second of the inning for Brendan Hornig. So Brendan Hornig continues to cruise here. Now with 8 strikeouts on the game. So 8 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings of work and a couple of hits allowed for Brendan Hornig, the right-handed pitcher, junior to be, looking for a home for next season. Already has 1 offer, so he can feel somewhat safe as the fastball misses outside for ball 1. 1-0 the count. Hornig, as we mentioned, from Corona, an Inland Empire guy, went to Santiago High School in Corona. Here's the 1-0 delivery from number 28. Just misses low and away. Ball 2, 2-0 the count to Elijah Skips. Skips has been a tough guy to retire today, as Skips both times has drawn a walk. Meanwhile, Charlie Reynoso is going out to the mound for a visit here, as he's fallen behind 2-0. Maybe Reynoso just asking, what's up with this number 2 hitter? You've walked him a couple times, and now you're behind 2-0. Not your prototypical 2 hitter is number 26 Skips, as he's got a very thick build. Looks more like you'd see him as a number 3 or 4 hitter. Kind of almost like a football-type body for number 26. Typically, you see the smaller guy, like a Channing Varela-esque guy, in that number 2 spot who, is a speedy runner, swings the bat really well, gets a lot of contact, and is able to move over runner, things like that. But Elijah Skips, for what it's worth, 2 plate appearances and 2 times he's reached base. High fly ball, third base line foul and out of play. And it's now 2-1 as the baseball ricochets off of what I believe is the clubhouse here at UC Santa Barbara, or it's something to that effect. Can't really make it out as we're high top home plate, and our view of it is a little bit obstructed. And it's 2-1. So Hornig trying to find a way to retire Skips for the first time. This has been the pesky out to, record here for Hornig so far in this game. Swan and foul back at the screen, 2-2. So whatever Charlie told Hornig, came back and threw 2 strikes in a row. So far, so good. Although, as we mentioned, really not much that you need to tell a guy who's been cruising the way he's been cruising. Through 4 2/3, 8 strikeouts and only 2 hits allowed. The runner, Henme, takes his lead off first. Holding him on is Hernandez. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Down he goes. 9th strikeout in 5 innings. Side is struck out here in the top of the 5th inning. And we are halfway through this baseball game. As good as Hornig's pitched, still no score. It's 0-0, Pirates and Saints. You're listening on IntheValleyBaseball.com.
There must be some kind of way out of here, said the Joker to the thief. Yeah, there's too much confusion. I can't get no relief.
Yeah, I see jokers on my left, beats up on my right. You find me in the middle with a picked a different life. Before my name started trickling inside, but I'm still showing signs, all attributed to mine. In the pitch black, it's too cold, I'm all alone. Take me back to the roads I had to roam to get here and I'll hitch back. Get a cab to my mother's house, see my old man and grab a six-pack. Tell my brother I love him and give him something that will see him through the hard times. What's a brother for? When I'm sick of this life I see, it has to be my family who lift me off the floor. Make sense of all the madness, in a world full of money, full of tears, full of war. I was a power man, I worked from the earth up. Save your wine for the entrepreneurs. Take a sip full of sin and let your taste buds savor the buzz. The flavour of an ill-mannered nature that lingers on as animals in all of us. Trying to fight for the right to live a life where some will never win, though that's why they live a lie. I don't think I'll ever win, all of this is anything. When I die I hope a lover's at my side. There's no trapdoor or get out clause. The world can be a restaurant or a set of jail doors. You've seen mine, I think it's time I see yours.
And welcome back as we head to the home half of the fifth inning. Pirates for the second straight day winning the coin toss, so that's why they are the home team. As even against the Foresters, there was a coin toss, but the Pirates actually lost, so that's why they were the road team in that game. 9-1-2 due up. Tyler Urbach, followed by the top of the lineup, Jeff Nellis and Channing Varela. Meanwhile, on the mound, there's been a change as James Mendez has come on to relieve Matt McGowan. So, number 15 in here. First pitch, strike one on the inside corner. 0-1 the count to Urbach. Urbach 0 for 1, struck out swinging with the bases loaded back in the second inning. Leg kick, and here's the pitch. Swung on and lined to right field, but foul. And it's 0-2 here for Urbach. Urbach, as we mentioned, playing for Fordham University, where he'll be a sophomore next season. Among other things, played at Harvard Westlake in high school, where he won a national championship. Yes, the team was nationally recognized by Perfect Game as the national champions. And his ring, even issued by CIF, said national champions, not just state champions. When he got it, here's the 0-2. Strike three, down he goes. And that's the second strikeout of the day for Tyler Urbach. And here comes Jeff Nellis. So Urbach struck out looking. And here's Nellis. Nellis is 0 for 2. Flew out to the center fielder both times. First time hitting what originally off the bat seemed to be a liner in the center field for potentially a base hit. But the center fielder, Peterson, covering the ground and making the play. And then the same thing the second time, only this time, the second time, breaking pitch just catches the plate. Strike one, 0-1 the count. Second time hitting it 390 feet to dead center. And the center fielder once again, Peterson, chasing after it and making the grab over his shoulder. High and tight ball one. 1-1 the count to number one, Jeff Nellis with one out. Here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Still no score, Pirates and Saints. So pretty much the exact opposite of what we've seen over the last few days. Line drive foul, actually, in the screen on the first base side. And it looked like off the bat maybe he was going to line it down the right field line foul. But as we mentioned, just fouling back here towards the screen, and it's 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Mendez on the mound here for the Saints. Working out of the windup, delivers. Line drive, left field, base hit for Jeff Nellis. So Nellis trying to start out a rally here in the bottom of the 5th inning, as the Pirates very excited about that hit, trying to score some runs for the first time in this game. Well, this was one of the 3-run innings that they had yesterday. If you remember, three-run innings. One of them was the very first inning, and then they had one in the 5th and one in the 9th. So they got it done in every aspect of the game. In the first inning, the last inning, and right in the middle in that 5th inning. Well, here's Channing Varela. Varela's 1 for 2. Singled up the middle in the 3rd inning and flew out to right field in the 1st inning. First pitch to him. Lined up the middle. Will it get through? Yes, it does. It's a base hit. Jeff Nellis rounding hard around second and then putting on the brakes as the center fielder Peterson comes up firing to his cutoff man, the shortstop Smith. And the Pirates have pieced together a couple hits in a row against the new pitcher Mendez. So Pirates happy to see a new guy in there. Meanwhile, for the Saints, I think they're just praying for a new pitcher. Although Hornig, as we mentioned, has just been smooth sailing for him. And really, you'd have to figure that he's going to go at least 6 or 7 the way he's pitched so far. Here's Nick Hernandez. Hernandez trying to find a 3rd hit in a row for the Pirates with 1 out in the bottom of the 5th inning. Breaking pitch in the dirt, gets by the catcher. Both runners advance 90 feet, and both are now in scoring position here for the big bat, Nick Hernandez. So this is a big situation right here for the Pirates to try to take the lead. We mentioned with a 1-out scenario that really, if Hernandez can just drive the ball to the outfield, Pirates would take the lead. But Hernandez may be selfishly thinking, I want to get a hit here too, and I want to be part of this hit, rally that's been breaking out as we've had a couple hits in a row. Off the plate outside, ball 2-0 the count. Meanwhile, very unusual is the left side of the infield is playing in, but the right side of the infield is playing back. And so kind of a tweener there, as really I guess it's a left-handed hitter, so they're thinking maybe the left-handed hitter, I really don't, that's just something rare. You don't typically see that. Fly ball foul behind home plate, 2-1 the count to Nick Hernandez. Hernandez 0 for 2, a couple of flyouts, one to center field and one to the second baseman. But as we mentioned, the right side of the infield's back, and that's probably the side that he's more likely to hit to as a left-handed hitter. So even we mentioned the fly ball, even if he can just pull it on the ground on the right side, the run's going to score. Here's the pitch. Fouled at the screen, and it's 2-2. So Mendez, after falling behind in a 2-0 hole, coming back with a couple of foul balls, and it's now 2-2 with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. 2 runners in scoring position, Jeff Nellis, who singled to left field, and Channing Varela, who singled up the middle for the second time in this game. Varela, by the way, now with 8 hits in these 3 games. Here's the pitch. Misses low, ball 3-2 the count. Jeff Nellis was pretty far off the bag, about a third of the way down the line, but backpedaled back to the base as it didn't get very far away from the catcher Hawkins. Full count. Payoff pitch to come to Hernandez. Hoping to take advantage of this payoff pitch and pay it off in the form of a lead for the Pirates in the bottom of the 5th inning. Ground ball right side, and now the second baseman was actually playing in. And so all of a sudden the second baseman who was playing back comes in and makes the play to first to retire Hernandez. And so that'll be the second out here as Kyle Jackson steps up to the plate. Kyle Jackson has always been one of the more reliable hitters. Just steadily goes about his business. But today, a tough day so far, 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. But this is an opportunity here for him to potentially find his first hit and give the Pirates a lead. Here's the pitch. Oh, it hits him on the left hip. So Jackson will head to first after being hit by a pitch by Mendez. And now the catcher Hawkins will step out to the mound to talk things over and maybe just try to settle him down a little bit. And here comes Justin Gomez, 0 for 2, struck out looking in the second, and grounded out to the shortstop in the 4th inning. If you recall, when he struck out looking in the 2nd inning, he actually didn't swing the bat once in that entire at-bat. And all 3 pitches catching the outside corner. And that was when we were starting to talk about how looks like a pretty expanded strike zone, at least for outside pitches, from our home plate umpire for today's game. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Misses low, ball 1, 1-0 the count. Well, this is the second time that the Pirates have had this scenario. The first time was back in the second inning, and they stranded the bases loaded. This time, Gomez hoping to get a little bit of a 2-out rally and hoping to scratch across a few runs. Takes low, ball 2, 2-0 the count. Well, that was huge for Gomez, because Gomez, I think we've seen he can really, really crush some fastballs. And on a 2-0 count, surely you're thinking that a fastball is going to come. Because if this pitcher falls behind 3-0, he could be in some trouble. And he has done that. Fastball high and away. Ball 3, 3-0 the count. Well, this is going to be interesting to see how Charlie plays this, as you would have to imagine the take will be on the whole way here on the 3-0 pitch. But what are you doing on the 3-1? This is your cleanup hitter. You're not going to give him a take on the 3-1. But let's see if he even green lights him on the 3-0. Mendez. 3-0 delivery. Catches the outside corner, 3-1. So 3 balls, 1 strike. 2 outs, bottom of the 5th inning. Bases full of Pirates. And Gomez, the cleanup hitter, trying to do exactly what he does and clean up the bases. This one misses inside. Actually, Gomez is batting 5th today. Excuse me. As this one catches on the inside corner, it's 3-2. Gomez typically the cleanup hitter, but actually it's Kyle Jackson today. So sorry about that. But this is a huge situation. Full count. 2 outs, bases loaded. Ground ball left side. Gets through. Rounding third and coming home to score is Channing Varela, as did Nellis as well. And it's a 2-run single for Gomez through the left side hole. 2-0 Pirates lead. So Gomez coming through in the clutch with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Drives it through that 5-6 hole. And as we mentioned, Nellis and Varela scoring. And it's now a 2-0 game. Well, it was easy for Varela to round third and score because on a full count pitch with 2 outs and the bases loaded, the runners were moving immediately. The merry-go-round was in session, as they say sometimes, as the wheels were spinning all around. And also Kyle Jackson reached third. But it's Gomez right now with the big hit of the game, the 2-run single, to give the Pirates a 2-0 lead. Johnny Juarez takes strike 1 at the knees. 0-1 the count to Johnny, who is 0 for 1, but did reach on an error in the 4th inning and also drew a walk in the 2nd inning. So the Pirates just hoping that he can find a way to reach base again, and if he can, it could be a 3-0 game. Ooh, another one called a strike, and it's 0-2. Well, actually, the plate appearance in the 2nd inning where he drew a walk, he fell behind 0-2 and ended up, as we just mentioned, drawing a walk in that plate appearance. Very good understanding of the plate for the Pirates. Johnny Juarez batting .296 on the season. Takes low, ball 1. 1-2 the count. So Juarez, as we mentioned, .296 batting average, 10 RBIs driven in, 3 of which came yesterday, as he had a 2-run triple and then a 1-run single. Pickoff throw over to first. Gomez was caught off a little bit at first, as he didn't slide immediately, but he was close enough to where it didn't really matter and got back to the bag safely. So a quick pickoff move from Mendez. And the Pirates hoping to build upon this 2-0 lead that they've gotten here in the home half of the 5th. Here's the 1-2. Blown away, ball 2, 2-2 the count. So once again, Juarez, after falling behind 0-2, this time getting it back up to 2-2 as he takes that pitch off the plate. And in this situation for Johnny, he's got to choke up on the bat and try to protect the plate here against Mendez. Here's the pitch. The runner goes. That's Gomez, and it's fouled back at the screen. Still 2-2. Johnny Juarez from Mount Sac, just a mile down the road from Cal Poly Pomona. Second-year player for the Inland Valley Baseball Association. Wearing that Mount Sac helmet right now. Deuce is wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 runs in the inning. Here's the pitch. Ground ball left side, and it's going to get through for a base hit. Another RBI for Johnny Juarez, and it's 3-0 Pirates as Jackson crosses home plate. So what a pickup for the Pirates as Johnny Juarez with his 4th hit in the 2 games he's played for them, and now his 4th RBI as well.
Right fielder, number 11, Jake Thumb.
And I told Kevin Bowler the stats are going on the Bucks website as I wanted to keep all of his stats together, even though he's just playing these 2 games. And we mentioned that Kevin Bowler actually made a phone call to him last night and said, you're not getting traded. So as well of a showing as he's had, he's still a Buck. Well, and what's maybe the funniest thing about this is Johnny Juarez is a guy who takes a lot of pride in the Bucks. Here's the pitch. Misses inside to Jake Thumb, 1-0 the count. And so much so that he legitimately told me one time that he would rather beat the Pirates than the Power, which the Power has typically been the team to beat in the SCCBL throughout the past few years. Of course, now this year the Force joining adds another superpower in our league. Strike 1 to Thumb, and it's 1-1. But it's as when I told Charlie Reynoso, he was basically stunned and surprised that he could actually feel that way. And I said, it sounds like it's really the feeling for most of the Bucks that way. And just the sense that you mentioned, here's the pitch, outside. Oh, it's called a strike, and it's 1-2 here to Thumb. The fact that they played 7 times last year and lost 6 out of those 7 times, I think, was a big factor into, kind of the contentious, relationship that, as some of the coaches called from the Pirates, kind of that little brother, attitude that he wanted to get back at the Pirates. Blown away, ball. No, I'm sorry, but that cannot be called a strike. But down goes Thumb looking. And the last 2 pitches, to me, both looked like they were off the plate. And Charlie Reynoso is going over to Thumb immediately to ask him about it. But the Pirates send up 8 hitters in the inning and score 3 runs on 4 base hits. The big ones being the Justin Gomez 2-run single through the 5-6 hole. And the Johnny Juarez single also through the 5-6 hole. That scored a run. So at the end of 5, it's 3-0. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
You spin my head right round when you go down, down.
You spin my head right around when you go down.
Hey, I got the house with my swagger, hopping out with dough, I got places to go. People to see, time is precious, I look at my Cartier out of control. Just like my mind where I'm going, the women, the shorties know nothing but clothes. No stopping at my Pirelli's on roll, unlike my jewelry that's always on roll. I know the storm is coming, my pockets keep telling me it's gonna shower. Call up my homies, it's on and popping the night cause it's meant to be ours. We keep a fadeaway shot cause we ballin' this platinum up Patron every hour. Look mama, ow, you just like the flowers. Girl, you the truth with all that goody powers. You spin my head right round when you go.
And welcome back. Heart of the order due up here for the Saints in the top of the 6th inning. Bryce Peterson fouling the first pitch he sees off the left ankle. And he's kind of walking it out down the first base line, shaking it off. As it's 0-1 him. Well, Peterson, as the number 3 hitter in the lineup, has not enjoyed a successful day so far against Brendan Hornig. Hornig has struck him out both times. And I guess strikeout victims, not necessarily the worst thing for the Saints today, as there's been 9 of them in just 5 innings. Fastball fouled again off the ankle, and it's 0-2. So to kind of add insult to injury, after striking out the first 2 times, on the first 2 pitches he swings at and fouls them both off his shins. And now behind 0-2 again, and I mean, this is going to be very tough for him because he's going to obviously going to have to protect the plate with a 2-strike count and no balls. Meanwhile, the Saints coaches, I figured, just trying to buy him some time and trying to let him kind of walk it off. As after hitting a couple in a row off your shin, you definitely want to take a little bit of a breather and a little bit of a delay. Maybe a good idea as well, just to kind of try to get in the head, so to speak, of Hornig and just try to, make it not go at his pace. Meanwhile, Jackson, the third baseman, a teammate of Hornig at Chaffey College, came in for that visit with Gomez and Hornig. I know Jackson and Hornig are great friends, good buddies. Here's the pitch. Inside, ball 1. 1-2 the count. In fact, I believe when they went down to San Diego, I can't remember if it was for the Team San Diego series or the San Diego Force series. Here's the pitch, the 1-2, fouled, and it remains 1-2 as it hit off the edge of the bat and bounced into the third base dugout. I believe Kyle Jackson missed the trip. He ended up showing up right, around the first inning for the first game of the doubleheader. But there were 3 or 4 of them who were going to carpool together, and they all were waiting for Jackson. Here's the pitch. Fastball swung on and bounced through the left side hole for a hit. And the Saints are thrilled that Peterson has a hit here and gets off the schneid after striking out the first 2 times and falling behind 0-2 and then grounding it through the left side of the infield on a 1-2 pitch. Here's Jason DeAndrea. He's 1 for 2, singled in the 4th, and flew out to short in the 1st. So the Saints trying to get a rally going here in the top of the 6th after falling behind 3-0 in the bottom of the 5th. As we mentioned, DeAndrea is at the plate against Hornig. Just to complete that story, here's the pitch. To Hornig's credit, he wouldn't leave until he had talked to Jackson, and Jackson saying that he was about 20 minutes away or something to that extent from where the meeting point was, and to just leave without him. And so Hornig, as we mentioned, this one is flown out into first base side foul and over to the first base dugout and out of play, 0-2 the count. So Hornig didn't want to strand his friend, but had to leave, had to get there because he was pitching the first game. 0-2 the count again for Hornig, as that was the count to the previous hitter, Peterson, who actually came through with the third base hit of the day for the Saints as he drove it through the left side of the infield. He's off with the pitch. Swung on and lined foul down the first base line. Still 0-2 to Jason and DeAndrea. Well, I mentioned that Hornig, as well as he's pitched, typically on 0-2 pitches, you throw the purpose pitch, whether it be, it's kind of a fastball high and out of the zone or a breaking pitch low and away, try to catch a hitter fishing. And for the most part, he hasn't really done that. He's gone after the hitter on 0-2. But it's worked for the most part, as he has 9 strikeouts in his 5+ innings. This one's fouled over to the first base dugout, still 0-2. But like I'm saying, you just might want to think about potentially, and this scenario, really, it's still an 0-2 count, trying to throw something out of the zone and see if you get the hitter to chase after it. Now, to DeAndrea's credit, he has fouled off a couple tough pitches. Last one was pretty much over the plate, though, but it was a bit low. And just staying alive was DeAndrea. Here's the 0-2. Nope, we got a pickoff throw over to first. Looked like it actually might have bounced in the dirt. And Hernandez making the backhanded pick off the dirt. The Pirates hoping to win 2 out of 3 here in Santa Barbara. They have a 3-0 lead. Here's the pitch, runners off. Swing and a miss, strike 3. The throw down to second is way offline and goes into center field. The runner had no idea where the ball was, so Peterson having to stay put. But that was strikeout number 10 as Peterson steals second. Here's Tyler Smith. Smith is 0 for 2 and flew out to the left fielder Juarez both times. So Johnny might want to be paying a little extra added attention here to Tyler Smith. Talked about the flag going right to left, so the wind was moving right to left earlier. Now it's pretty much sitting dead still. Looks like there's not much of a breeze out there. Fastball outside, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Meanwhile, I saw somebody up in the bullpen, but it's somebody who's actually swinging. So it's maybe somebody who's going to be inserted into the lineup here in the 6th inning, but not a pitcher. Here's the pitch. Fastball called to strike on the outside corner. And we mentioned that outside corner has been open all day for both pitchers. And it's 1-1. So sticks on the board, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. 1 man on base. He's at second base. That's Bryce Peterson, who singled through the left side of the infield. And at the dish is Tyler Smith. Went after that one, and it's 1-2. Well, you know you're pitching well when you can fool a hitter that much. And really, the breaking pitch is blown away in the dirt, and still they're swinging at it, and they're just taking ugly hacks as well. 10 strikeouts. That's the number of the hitter at the plate right now, Tyler Smith. But Hornigan, meanwhile, looking for his 11th. Breaking pitch in the dirt, nice block by Gomez. And that'll be a ball. 2-2 the count. So the Pirates, we mentioned, and it's worth noting again, the first thing they need to potentially win pool play and play another game here tomorrow, which would be a championship game, with a World Series berth on the line. Here's the pitch. Fouled on the third base line, past the third base coach, still 2-2. First part of the equation was to hold this team under 3 runs. So far, so good. Now, obviously, Saints here in the top of the 6th inning still have 3 full at-bats left and 2 outs to work with in this inning. But at the moment, so far so good with that scenario. But the next one that we're going to mention after this next pitch from Hornig is one that really is going to be a tough one. The runner goes, fastball swung on and fouled, and it's still 2-2. The next scenario was, first of all, the Santa Barbara Foresters would have to lose, which, as we mentioned, watching them play and seeing the competition from some of the other teams, seems like that would be very improbable. But the team they're playing, Caneo Oaks, is in their league and actually beat them 1 out of 3 times in a series earlier this season. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but the thing that you would need is you would need a lot of runs to be scored. In fact, you would need basically something like a 12-11 score. That's like the smallest, the bare minimum that you would need to win the pool if you're the Pirates. And obviously, as we mentioned, Caneo Oaks winning. Breaking pitch just missing off the plate, outside, ball 3. 3-2 the count. The reason that is because the first tiebreaker after head-to-head, and should that scenario play out in pool play where you end up with 3 2-1 teams, after head-to-head, it's runs allowed. So that's why the Pirates would need a ton of runs to be scored. Ball 4 at the plate. So Hornig losing the hitter after being ahead 0-2. Ends up walking Tyler Smith. Meanwhile, Peterson stealing another base, and he's now on third. Here's Blaze Dulcimacio. Blaze Dulcimacio 0 for 2, flew out to short and grounded out to the pitcher, Hornig, and actually didn't really. It deflected off Hornig and basically rolled over to Nick Hernandez. Here's the pitch. Fastball strike 1, 0-1 the count. So Hornig goes right back there with another strike. As we mentioned, the numbers this year, strikeouts to walk ratio, have been very, very good for the right-handed pitcher from Chaffey College. Checking the runner at first. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 2, 0-2 the count. So after issuing a walk, you like seeing Hornig jump ahead of the hitter and get ahead 0-2, which he is here to Dulcimacio. Dulcimacio yet to strike out, as really the only spots in the lineup who haven't struck out are Dulcimacio and the previous hitter, Tyler Smith. Low and away, ball 1, 1-2 the count. Also, actually, the number 9 hitter, Kyle Hamney. So just 3 hitters in the lineup who haven't struck out at least once in this game to Hornig, as you could imagine when he's got 10 victims in 5 1/3 innings of work. Foul back, still 1-2. So all of a sudden, Saints starting to foul a bunch of pitches off, trying to extend counts, maybe wear down Hornig a little bit. But Hornig just really a ground ball away from getting out of the inning. If the infield could turn 2, middle infielders playing double play depth. Here's the 1-2 offering. Fouled out of play down the left field line. So as we mentioned, Pirates 1-1 in pool play. Caneo Oaks 1-1. The South Bay Saints 0-2, and Santa Barbara Foresters 2-0. So that's what the South bracket looks like. The winner of the South will play the winner of the North here tomorrow. Here's the pitch. The runner goes, and it misses low. So another stolen base here for the Saints. And the Saints now with 2 men in scoring position, looking to come right back in this thing. As it's 2-2 at the plate here. To the hitter. Plays Dulcimacio. So the double play scenario is now out of the realm of possibility. Here's the 2-2 offering. Low and away, ball 3. 3-2 the count. So again, for the second straight hitter, Horning up 0-2, and then it becomes a full count. So a payoff pitch here against Dulcimacio. Ground ball right side. That will score the first run of the day. Channing Varela makes the throw to first for the second out. So an RBI ground out there by Dulcimacio, and it's 3-1. So the stolen bases paying off, paying dividends for the South Bay Saints as one run scores. And now you have a chance for a second run to score as the runner on third base is Tyler Smith, who just swiped second base. So the South Bay Saints in this situation looking for some momentum, go to the bench, and Aaron Villabi. So Aaron Villabi in for the catcher, Hawkins. So the Saints trying to get right back in this game as they've scored one here in the inning and looking for a second run. Fastball, low, ball 1. 1-0 count. Well, it's interesting that the one run scores and now a second run just 90 feet away because in the inning, Horning's only allowed one hit. Ground ball left side, and that's Kyle Jackson, who makes the play and slings it sidearm across the diamond to retire Villalba for the final out of the inning. So Kyle Jackson making the play. One hit, one walk, one run scored, and it's now 3-1 as we head to the bottom of the sixth inning at UC Santa Barbara. Pirates on top. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. Welcome back. 8-9-1 due up here in the home half of the sixth inning. 3-1 the score. Pirates scoring all three in the fifth inning. Strike one to Seelman. And so 3 has been a magic number throughout the past 2 days as they have now had 4 3-run innings in the last 2 days. The 0-1 swung on and grounded. One hopper to the third baseman, Lottie. Lottie fires across the diamond for the first out here in the bottom of the sixth inning. Tyler Urbach is going to be lifted here for Costello. So Costello in as a pinch hitter here for the Pirates. Nick Costello from Pepperdine University.
Costello.
6'1", 185, right-handed hitter. He'll be a redshirt sophomore there next season. Hit .264 as a freshman for them this past year. And enjoying his time in the West Coast Conference and playing in the tournament this past season, did Pepperdine. As I believe they went to the regional final, where they fell. Here's the pitch. Check swing, no swing, ball one. Want to know the count to Nick Costello, hometown of Claremont. Went to Claremont High School, where he's an all-league, all-state, and all-CIF performer as a senior. Here's the pitch. Low and away, ball two, 2-0 the count. Meanwhile, Nick Costello, out of high school, one of the top recruits in the nation according to Perfect Game. He was the 36th ranked player nationally by Perfect Game as a senior. 2-0, foul behind home plate, and it's 2-1. So 2 balls and 1 strike, 1 out. Bottom of 6, 3-1 the score. Pirates leading. Meanwhile, Andrew Eppenbach's up in the bullpen. Here's the pitch. Upstairs, ball 3, 3-1. So Hornig, I'm not sure if his day's done, but if it is done, 6 innings, 1 run and 10 strikeouts. Certainly a good day. Here's the pitch. Low and away, ball 4. 5-pitch walk drawn by Costello. So Costello on board here with 1 out in the 6th inning. And here comes Jeff Nellis. Meanwhile, Costello is done. That's it. He comes up for the 1 plate appearance, draws a walk, and here's Johnny Reynoso to pinch run.
Now batting
That was an
shortstop,
interesting
number 1,
move.
Jeff Nellis.
Maybe there's something a bit wrong with Costello, because now, if you're the Pirates, it seems like you've really burned 2 players, because this is the DH spot in the lineup. So Urbach obviously gone, Costello gone, and well, I guess Reynoso will just continue to be in that DH spot. Here's the first pitch to Jeff Nellis. High in sight, ball 1. 1-0 the count to Nellis. Nellis, as we mentioned previously, originally committing to Nevada before transferring to Orange Coast College, where he was a member of that state championship team this past season. High fly ball, deep left field. That has a chance as it's at the track in the wall, but it's caught there by the left fielder, Skips. So just getting under it. As I mentioned, balls do seem to fly and carry out here in Santa Barbara, but off the bat, I did think it was just a fly ball, but once again,
Now batting
just carrying all the way to the
shortstop,
track.
Channing Varela.
So long out there for Varela. 3rd time he's flown out to the outfield. Here is Varela. Channing Varela, 2 for 3. Singled a couple times, both times up the middle, and scored the 2nd run of the day on the RBI by Gomez. Fastball high and in, ball 1. 1-0 the count to Varela. So Channing Varela, 3 hits 2 days ago, 3 hits yesterday, 2 hits today. Trying to get his 3rd hit for the 3rd consecutive day here in the Rawlings California Cup. Takes low for ball 2, 2-0 the count. Well, I don't know if they do an all-tournament team, but this might be a guy that you would consider giving the nod to, as we mentioned, already with 8 hits and basically 2.5 games played. Reynoso taking the lead off first, very small lead, but he goes. Pitch swung on and lined into deep center field, but the center fielder ranging back to his left and makes the catch. That's Peterson for the final out of the inning. So Channing Varela gets some good wood on it, but center fielder had him played well. And that'll do it for the 6th inning. At the end of 6, 3-1 the score. Pirates leading.
Return to the for a better way to get up out of bed instead of getting on the internet and checking a new hit. Me get up, first shot, come strut walking. A little bit of humble, a little bit of cautious. Somewhere between like Rocky and Cosby's for the game. No, y'all can't copy yet. Glad moonwalking, and this here is our party. My posse's been on Broadway, and we did it all way. Chrome music, I shed my skin and put my bones into everything I record to it. And yeah, I'm on. Let that stage light go and shine on down. Got that Bob Barker suit game and Plinko in my style. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, on my INDEPENDENT shit hustling. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the 4-track bustin'. Halfway across that city with the back question. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here, now they can't tell me nothing. We give it to the people, spread it across the country.
Here we go back, this is the moment, tonight is the night, we'll fight till it's over, so we put our...
And welcome back as we head to the top of the 7th inning. As Brendan Hornig still on the mound for the Pirates. Meanwhile, we'll get a pinch hitter, Yuki Hayakawa. So Yuki Hayakawa takes strike one from Brendan Hornig. Interesting name. Here's the pitch. Outside ball 1, 1-1 the count. We mentioned in the past inning that Andrew Eppenbach is warming up in the bullpen. But Horning has come out to start this 7th inning off. Fastball away, ball 2, 2-1 the count. So maybe going with this pinch hitter here in this situation, well, first of all, the guy he's replacing was 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Swing and a miss, strike 2, 2-2 the count. But secondly, looks like he might be a leadoff type of hitter if you just look at his stature. Not the largest of guys, but maybe he's a bit speedy on the base paths and trying to build an inning that way. The left-handed hitter, open stance, 2-2. Foul back, still 2-2. Well, for the Saints, they have 3 hits and 1 run. And really, for the first 5 innings, had very tough time just even making contact with Brendan Hornig. But as of late, they've been fouling a lot of pitches off from Hornig. And right on cue, another one fouled back by the pinch hitter for the Saints. And it remains 2-2. So Hayakawa at the dish. Meanwhile, Hornig looking for victim number 11. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, and down he goes. So that is strikeout number 11. And that number 8 spot now, 3 times at the plate, 3 times struck out by Brendan Hornig. Of course, we just mentioned that Hayakawa was a pinch hitter. And here's Kyle Henme. Kyle Henme is 1 for 2, singled in the 5th inning. And so, number 9 hitter in the lineup with one of the 3 hits in this game for the Saints. As we mentioned, the Saints losing the previous 2 games this week. Squaring around and letting a strike go. And it's 0-1 to Henme. Brendan Hornig trying to work his way through a 7th inning. It's about as long as we've seen any of the pitchers go this season for the Pirates. This pitch missed low, 1-1 the count. Yes, we haven't seen any Pirate work past the 7th inning. Actually, we saw one Pirate go 7 innings in relief. Nicholas Sergi against Team San Diego entered in the 3rd and pitched the rest of the game. Called strike 2, 1-2 the count. As this one just paints the black on the outside corner. So Brendan Hornig once again ahead of a hitter. And once again looking for a strikeout. This one is fouled out of play. And to the adjacent softball field here at UC Santa Barbara. We're on Stadium Way. As you have a soccer stadium across the street. Tennis center in the vision behind home plate. And here's the pitch. This is inside for a ball. And baseball field and softball field, catty corner next to each other. And then there's another field in the distance as well. Not exactly sure what that one is. Maybe it's just like a recreational or intramural field. This one's foul, and it remains a 2-strike count here to Kyle Hemme. But that's what I said and really what I started talking about in the last inning. Although he did get the 11th strikeout here in this inning, but for whatever reason, the hitters maybe starting to figure him out a little bit better as they've been fouling off a lot of pitches. And now this is a ground ball. One hopper to Kyle Jackson, who makes the play to first for the second out. Kyle Jackson looking very slick at third base as he just makes the catch and just slings it sidearm, and it comes out like a rocket off that arm from Kyle Jackson. Jackson's a guy who typically, I think really his main position would be second base, but just a great kid and just wants to play anywhere he can possibly play at. And obviously with the bat that he swings, first pitch lifted foul behind home plate, 0-1 the count. Just about 10 feet away from us. At the plate is Kyle Moore, the leadoff hitter, who is 0 for 3. Struck out a couple times, but actually reached on a strikeout and wound up advancing as far as third base. Here's the 0-1 from Hornig. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Well, I don't know what the plans are for the next inning, but as we mentioned, Eppenbach was up in the pen, but man, Brendan Hornig continues to deliver the goods. Here's the 0-2. Swung on off the fist and it's skied high and fouled off the screen. For a moment, I was wondering if it would be playable for the catcher Gomez, but just catching off the netting behind home plate, and it remains 0-2. Well, Brendan Hornig, 11 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings, looking for a 12th here against the leadoff hitter Kyle Moore, who has already struck out twice in this game, looking for the hat trick. Here's the pitch. Fastball misses inside for ball 1. 1-2 the count. I feel like almost when you're 0 for 3 with a couple strikeouts and the fastball comes that far inside, you almost just want to take one for the team and just find a way you can get on base any way possible. Here's the 1-2. Breaking pitch. Oh, how did that miss? The middle infielders were off the field, and the home plate umpire not giving the benefit of the doubt to Hornig here. And we mentioned if you want to go somewhere to this home plate umpire, it's outside. Pretty much anything on the outside corner is open for business. Here's the 2-2. Ground ball left side, past the sliding Kyle Jackson, deep in the hole, backhanded grab by Nellis, and throwing to first, but the leadoff hitter Moore beats it out for an infield single. So he does reach here and is able to not get the strikeout hat trick that we mentioned. And so now the 2-out rally is what the Saints are hoping for, where the Pirates are just trying to get out of this inning unscathed and turn it over to the bottom of the 7th inning. So 2 away, first 2 retired were Hasegawa and Hemme. Ground ball right side. That's going to get through for a base hit. So the Saints 2 in a row. Thumb is going to make the throw to third, and Jackson will make the grab. As all of a sudden, with 2 outs, 2 consecutive hits in a row, and there's runners on the corners, and Charlie Reynoso is headed out to the mound. So we'll see if this will do it for Brendan Hornig. As we mentioned, Eppenbach was certainly warming up in the bullpen. But still, I feel like you would want to see him maybe finish this inning, but no. He's not going to get the luxury to finish this inning, as he's gone 6 2/3 and strikes out 11 and allows 1 run, but does have 2 runners on board as he leaves for Andrew Eppenbach. We'll step away for a few moments while Eppenbach warms up on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
Hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us. Can we go back? This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us. Like the ceiling can't hold us.
Now, can I kick it? Thank you. Yeah, I'm so damn grateful. I grew up really wanna go fronts, but that's what you get when Wu-Tang raised you. Y'all can't stop me. Go hard like I gotta eat it within my heartbeat. And I'm eating at the beat like it gave a little speed to a great white shark on shark. We rock. Time to go off. Gone. Deuces goodbye. I got a world to see. My girl, she wanna see Rome. Caesar make you a believer. Nah, I never ever did it for a throne. That validation comes from giving it back to the people. Now sing this song and it goes like, raise those hands. This is our party. We came here to
And welcome back. Andrew Eppenbach inheriting 2 runners. Runners on the corners with 2 outs in the top of the 7th inning. Tying run is on board at first base in the form of Skips. Moore at third. Here's the first pitch. Grounded straight at the shortstop, Nellis, who's going to flip the short way to Varela at second. And so Eppenbach comes in, throws 1 pitch, and gets out of the inning. And so I'm sure Hornig will be very thrilled with that, as the runner on third was obviously his responsibility as the runner on first. So Eppenbach gets the 1 pitch and the 1 out, and we figure to probably see him the rest of the way. Try to come in here and get the save for the Pirates. It's time to stretch here at UC Santa Barbara. 3-1 the score. Pirates leading. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, 'cause it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Get your programs, peanuts, cracker jacks, soda pop. You're out.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, 'cause it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
And welcome back as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. There's a new pitcher on the mound, Brett McGilfrey. So Brett McGilfrey, and in relief for James Mendez. Here's Nick Hernandez, 0 for 3. Couple fly ball outs and a ground ball out. Here's the pitch. Off the plate outside, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Well, as we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, really getting out of that last inning unscathed was a big thing, in the sense that Pirates need to hold this team under 3 runs to have a chance to win the pool. We mentioned that it might be a slim chance, a small chance, but still, first part of it is 3 runs or fewer for the Pirates. Just 6 outs away from making that happen. Here's the pitch. Misses low for another ball. So Nick Hernandez taking 3 balls here, 3-0 the count. I would wonder if you would potentially green light him. And the one team we've seen do that this season is Team San Diego. And they did it a number of times throughout the series with the Bucks and the Pirates. And it worked a couple times, but it didn't work sometimes as well. But this is definitely taking all away. Hernandez, 3-1 the count. Well, you definitely don't want to give a gift to a new pitcher. You don't want to bail him out of a situation where he falls behind 3-0. Here's the 3-1. And this one misses low and away for ball 4. 5-pitch walk drawn by Nick Hernandez. Anytime you get that leadoff man on base by a walk, the odds go up drastically in your favor, in fact 50% higher, to be able to score at least 1 run in that inning. So that's why that base runner and that walk was huge for the Pirates. As Kyle Jackson steps up to the plate, 0 for 2. Was hit by a pitch in the 5th inning and scored the 3rd run on an RBI single off the bat of Johnny Juarez. Here's the pitch. Misses outside, and it's called a strike. 0-1 the count to Jackson, who was just shaking his head, who was trying to square around and sacrifice Hernandez in the scoring position. Well, we mentioned off the plate is the place to be on the outside corner. Here comes the 0-1. Jackson squaring around and lining it in the left field for a base hit. Hernandez slow to the bag, almost thrown out at second by the left fielder Skips, as Hernandez actually had to hold up because he wasn't sure if the left fielder Skips was going to make the grab. Sliding in safely, and Kyle Jackson now with his first hit of the day goes to 1 for 3. And here's Justin Gomez. So the heart of the order trying to put this one out of reach. As the first two, the number 3 hitter, Hernandez drew the walk. Jackson singling the left. And now the number 5 hitter, Gomez, at the plate. Justin Gomez, 1 for 3. 2-run single through the 5-6 hole back in the 5th inning. And that was the first 2 runs of the game. But he's actually going to square around here with 2 runners on and no outs. And he lays it down to perfection down the third base line, and he might be able to beat this out, but actually they're going to make a flip to third base. And so the force is actually made, and Nick Hernandez is retired. So I was thinking that he would be safe at first, and he is, but unfortunately he can't execute the sacrifice. As we mentioned, the pitcher alertly making the flip over to the third baseman.
Fielder number 4, Johnny Juarez.
If there wasn't a runner on second, I mean, that would have been a perfect bunt because probably in all likelihood, there's no way that Matt Gilfrey would have made the play to first. But obviously the scenario was a runner on second, and so now there's 1 out and 2 men on for Johnny Juarez. Juarez 1 for 2, but did reach every single time today. Breaking pitch in the dirt. Wow. Strike 1, 0-1 the count. I think this home plate umpire has some kind of lunch date, late lunch date or something. So 0-1 here to Juarez. 2 men on. Line drive right back at the shortstop, though, and that's going to be a double play. And so Juarez hitting it very hardly, but right at the shortstop. Lines into an inning-ending double play. And so that'll do it for the 7th inning. Pirates threaten. They get their first 2 men on base, but can't score any. But continue to lead 3-1 at the end of 7. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
Little boy in a baseball hat stands in the field with his ball and bat. Says, I am the greatest player of them all. Puts his bat on his shoulder and he tosses up his ball. And the ball goes up and the ball comes down. Swings his bat all the way around. The world's so still you can hear the sound. The baseball falls to the ground. Now the little boy doesn't say a word, picks up his ball, he is undeterred. Says, I am the greatest there has ever been. And he grits his teeth and he tries it again.
And welcome back to the top of 8 we go. Dave Soberi on the play-by-play. So glad you joined us on InlandValleyBaseball.com for the 3rd day of pool play from UC Santa Barbara. Pirates splitting the first 2 and hoping to win the second one and go to 2-1 for the weekend in Santa Barbara as first pitch misses outside, ball 1. Want to know the count to Jason DeAndrea, the cleanup hitter for the South Bay Saints. Fastball up, ball 2, 2-0 the count. Andrew Eppenbach on the mound. Threw 1 pitch in the previous inning and got his man to ground out to shortstop. He's in relief of Brendan Hornig, who went 6 2/3 and struck out 11. Allowed the 1 run, and it's now 3-0. And Eppenbach is a guy who Charlie Reynoso has a lot of confidence in, a lot of faith in to close games out like this. But this is something that Eppenbach has struggled with. Here's the pitch. Strike 1, 3-1 the count. Something he struggled with is falling behind the hitters, which obviously he didn't do the first hitter he faced because it was a 1-pitch ground out, but still, it's been a bit of a struggle for number 32, Andrew Eppenbach, who was actually throwing 32 innings entering the day and now throws a 5-pitch walk. Leadoff man on base via the walk. Time call for Reynoso. So that was really quick. As Charlie now checking on Eppenbach. There's nobody warming up in the pen, so just trying to, I guess, settle him down a bit and talk things over. Andrew Eppenbach this season, in those 32 innings, is 2-4, 2 saves, 3.66 ERA, 1.53 WHIP. But the thing that we were talking about was the falling behind in hitters. And you look at the strikeout to walk ratio, and it's not great. It's pretty much 1-to-1, as he has 19 strikeouts and 18 walks on the season. So that's when we're talking about falling behind is so important not to do for him. And it's always tough when you come in relief and you put guys on base in such a close game. But Eppenbach obviously has done a lot of good work for the Pirates this season, throwing the most innings of any Pirate. Strike one. The other thing that I think you really like about him is just the unique delivery, the sidearm delivery from Andrew. 6'2", 180, right-handed pitcher. Plays for Orange Coast College, where he will be a sophomore next year. Here's the 0-1. Misses lone in, ball one. 1-1 the count. At the plate, you have Tyler Smith, who's 0 for 2. A couple fly ball outs to left field and a walk in the 6th inning. Eppenbach from the stretch. Comes set at the hip. Checking the runner at first. Now fires home. Ground ball foul off the shin. And so that'll be strike 2. 1-2 the count. As the umpire was saying something very demonstratively and very loud. But couldn't hear exactly what he was saying. But I believe it was just the fact that he was saying the ball was fouled off the shin. And so it's 1-2 here. With no outs, top of 8th inning. 3-1 is the lead for the Pirates, who are clinging to that 2-run lead and trying to get away with the second victory here in Santa Barbara. Pitch misses off the plate outside, ball 2, 2-2 the count. Not a bad idea to go to the outside, but that one was just too far off the plate for even this home plate umpire to call a strike. And it's 2-2 to Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith is the number 5 hitter in the lineup. So if you're Eppenbach, here's the pitch. Misses low and away. Ball 3, 3-2 the count. Well, he walked the one guy on first right now. That's D'Andrea, and here he is on another 3-ball count. Full count going against Tyler Smith. Would be a good idea, though, even though the previous 2 pitches missed outside, to try to come right back there, because we mentioned a lot of the pitches on the outside corner have been called strikes. This one's lined up the middle for a base hit, and the Saints have their first 2 men on board here in the top of the 8th inning. No movement in the bullpen, so it's going to stay with Eppenbach here. It's on Eppenbach's shoulders to find a way to get out of this jam. 2 runners on, no outs, and surely you would think that the left-handed hitter Blaze Dulcimaccio would be sacrificing in this situation to get both runners in the scoring position and have the tying run at second base. He is squaring around early. Here's the pitch. Foul back. 0-1 the count. Well, for the Pirates, as we mentioned a lot of times, when you're going to sacrifice an out, the first thing as a pitcher to do is throw a strike, and Eppenbach did it there. And if they're going to give you an out, you easily take it. Here's the pitch. Outside, the throw down to second base, and almost nailed the runner at second as he was way off trying to run to third on the sacrifice. Gomez throwing it down to second, so close to possibly picking off the runner in D'Andrea. D'Andrea was kind of frustrated, actually. This one is bunted. Oh, a perfect bunt. No, it's not, as it's going to be an error made. Jackson can't handle it. And the ball is still loose over there. 3-2 the score. It bounced right in front of the plate. Gomez actually went to third because he could have gotten the lead runner, but it ends up turning out to be more or less a nightmare for the Pirates, as now, first of all, it looks like Jackson was shaken up over there. Secondly, the second run scored. thirdly, you didn't get it out in the inning. And so now the winning run, or the go-ahead run, I should say, is at second base. So an error on the catcher, Gomez. Meanwhile, Vic Espinosa out to check on things with Kyle Jackson. So Kyle Jackson hopefully will be okay here. Hands on knees right now. And Charlie Reynoso is going to talk to Nick Hernandez. Hernandez we saw close a game yesterday. So I don't know if that's possibly what it's about. If Hernandez wants to come in and enter here. But doesn't look like that will be the case.
Now batting number 9, Aaron Valabi.
Meanwhile, Valabi stepping up for the second time here. Pinch hit in this position earlier. He's 0 for 1. Infield playing in with no outs. Tying run 90 feet away from scoring. 3-2 the score. Top of the 8th inning. First pitch. Outside. Ball 1. 1-0 the count. Andrew Neppenbach's hometown of Claremont went to Bishop Amat. Told you the infield is playing in. Man, that last play was so tough. You could have gotten the lead runner. Instead, you make an error. Ground ball. Nellis will field it. And they got a man off the base. He's going to make the tag there. And they're saying that he's safe now, and now they throw him out. And so that'll be the first out as the runner, Blaze Dulcimacio, was moving. And the tag couldn't be applied at first, but they threw him out at second for the first out. So, in essence, you would trade a runner at first for a runner at second any day if you're the Pirates. So kind of a weird scenario right there as the infield playing in paid off. And now the middle infielders move back into double play depth with a runner on first base while the corner infielder is still playing in for the play at the plate. Fastball off the plate outside, ball 1. Want to know the count to Hayakawa. So this is his second plate appearance. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Here's the pitch. Ground ball right back at the box, and they got him picked off third base. Eppenbach running it back, and they're going to apply the tag. And so that'll be the second out as another runner gets caught off the base pass by the Pirates. And so that is the second out here. And a couple of base running blunders from the South Bay Saints. As just like that, there's 2 outs. 2 runners on base, both of whom reached on fielders' choices, but you will take the trade there any time of the day if you're the Pirates. As it was a comebacker right at Eppenbach, and those are always more or less the toughest ones to read as a runner in third. Here's the number 9 hitter, Kyle Henley, who's 1 for 3. First pitch to him, strike 1 on the inside half, 0-1 the count. So Kyle Henley trying to potentially tie this game up with a runner on second. They do still have that man in scoring position, but he's at second now. Here's the pitch. Ooh, wow. Slider just missing off the plate outside. And talk about it sliding pretty much across the entire width of the plate. 1-1. This would be huge to get out of this. Ground ball foul, third base side, 1-2 the count. I mean, wow. The first run scored, and it was 3-2. There were runners on second and third, no outs. And right now, the Pirates are staring a potential still 1-run lead in the face if they can get out of this inning with one more out here. One more pitch, really, as this one's fouled, and it's still 1-2. So just looking for one more strike to get out of this inning, still with the lead, is Andrew Eppenbach. The infield playing in worked out, and then the bouncer right back at him also worked out, catching runners off the bags. Just off the plate outside, ball 2, 2-2 the count. Well, you feel like you saw these pitches that were being called strikes against the Pirates on the outside, and now you're just wondering why can't Eppenbach get that call here? And if he did, you'd be out of the inning. Here's the 2-2. Fastball in, ball 3, 3-2 the count. Full count. Kyle Hemme took advantage of a full count earlier when he had his single. Hopefully that will not be the same scenario here for the Pirates. Here's the pitch. Ground ball fouled behind home plate. 3-2 still. Still full count with 2 outs. And 2 runners on. Tying run at second base. Go ahead run on first base. They did have the going run on second base with no outs. But as we mentioned, 2 runners being picked off the bases by the Pirates. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Down he goes. And so Eppenbach pulls out a little Houdini effort here to get out of this inning with runners on second and third, no outs, in a 1-run game. As the Pirates keep it a 3-2 score, we'll head to the bottom of the 8th. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com.
The game's on the line, my number gets a call. I bust out from the bullpen, they give me the ball. Runners crowd the corners, Mr. Clutch stands to bat. Pressure's a ton, only up by 1, but I can handle that. I stare down the batter as he digs in with the spikes. It don't matter what you do, you're going down on strikes. So I get my sign, check the runners, take my stretch. First pitch is a freight train, impossible to catch. 'Cause I am the closer, nasty with stuff. They count on me to shut the door when the going gets tough. 'Cause I am the closer, the one who throws the heat. They count on me to shut the door. 'Cause I am the closer. I am the closer. Strike 1 calls the umpire. For the hitter it's looking bleak. I own the plate, it's my time. Slugger's in trouble deep. So I said, here's the 0-1. My target's at the knees. It's swing and a miss for strike 2 when I bring the cheddar cheese. So I kick high and deliver. This fastball's so cooking. All that poor.
And welcome back to the bottom of 8 we go. Bottom of the lineup due up here for the Pirates. 7, 8, 9. Jake Thumb, Drew Seelman, and Nick Costello. First pitch to Thumb. Strike 1, 0-1 the count to Jake. Jake is 0 for 2. Grounded out to the pitcher. Struck out looking, and drew a walk in the second inning. Here's the 0-1. Off the plate outside, ball 1. 1-1 the count. 1 ball, 1 strike, no outs. Bottom of 8, 3-2 the score. Pirates clinging to a 1-run lead as they took a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the 5th. Here's the pitch. Called strike 2, 1-2 the count. And then, in the top of the 6th, the Saints getting 1 run and getting another run in the 8th. Trying to chip away at the lead. They've gotten 1 back in those 2 frames since falling behind 3-0. Fastball up, ball 2, 2-2 the count. Eppenbach getting out of that tough inning. And really, you talk about it in the sense that second and third, no outs, and they ended up scoring no runs. 1 hopper over to the shortstop, Smith. Smith fields cleanly and makes the play for the first out here in the home half of the 8th inning. So Smith was a little bit of a flare, kind of hung up for a little bit longer than you might have envisioned. And Smith, that was one of those plays where I think you would say the ball kind of caught him. He didn't necessarily catch the ball, as he wasn't really down that much, and it just bounced right up at him and right where his glove was. And he caught it and made the play. Here's Drew Seelman. Meanwhile, leg kick, and here's the pitch. Breaking pitch on the inside corner, strike 1, 0-1 the count. Meanwhile, I mentioned that Costello was in the hole when we said the lineup at the beginning of the inning, but he was actually pinch run for by Reynoso. So Reynoso's on deck. This one misses inside, ball 1, 1-1 the count here to Drew Seelman. Drew Seelman, hometown of Temecula. Went to Temecula Valley High School, where he was the school's math student of the year. Talked about it. A lot of players on our team also very good in the classroom. And so maybe it would come to no surprise to you that as such, has a guy who was the Math Student of the Year at Temecula Valley as a high school senior. Here's the pitch. Fly ball, and this one is maybe in the field of play. Yes, it is. The catcher will call for it and make the grab. Anyways, we're going to say that there was no surprise that the Math Student of the Year ended up becoming a major in engineering. But he couldn't engineer a base hit here or find a way to get on base. It's a lot different looking at the fly ball to the catcher from high atop home plate as opposed to on the field, because I wasn't exactly sure at all whether or not it would be playable for the catcher Hawkins, but it was. And here's Reynoso. First pitch, strike one. 0-1 the count to Johnny Reynoso, who is the senior to be at Cal Poly Pomona. Late kicking here is the 0-1. Swing and a miss, fastball high and out of the zone. And it's 0-2. Johnny Reynoso, third-year Pirate, reaching the SCCBL All-Star game last year, led the team with a .380 batting average. Line drive left field, and that'll get down for a base hit. So Reynoso's trying to start a two-out rally, and he's going to continue on the second base as the left fielder let it get past him. So Reynoso now in the scoring position as the Pirates are looking to find a much-needed insurance run here, as they lead by just one, 3-2 the score. So credit that a single and an error on the left fielder, as Reynoso looked like he was thinking too, though, as soon as he swung at it, but it looked like he definitely would have not gone to second had it not gotten past the left fielder from my perspective. Here's Jeff Nellis. Nellis, first pitch swinging, fly ball in the infield, called for by the shortstop. And the shortstop, Smith, makes the catch. And the side is retired. So that'll do it. We are 8 full here, 8 completed innings at UC Santa Barbara with the score 3-2. Pirates leading the Saints. Pirates 3 outs away from notching their second win in 3 days at this really great pool play tournament in Santa Barbara. Eppenbach back out on the mound for the final inning when we return.
Could you whisper in my ear the things you wanna feel? I'll give you anything to feel it coming. Do you wake up on your own? I wonder where you are. Live with all your faults. I wanna wake up where you are. I won't say anything at all. So why don't you smile?
And welcome back as we head to the top of the ninth inning. First strike in there. 0-1 the count to Kyle Moore. So the Saints at the top of the lineup. This is a big spot for them. Trying to get a man on base. Obviously, typically a top of the lineup guy is a speedy guy. Strike two, though. Eppenbach quickly getting ahead 0-2, and that's what the doctor ordered if you're the Pirates, because we saw Eppenbach fall behind a few times in the previous inning. But anytime he can get ahead, he is so tough to face. Here's the 0-2, fastball, but it's going to be bounced up the middle for a base hit. And the Saints have a leadoff single in the ninth inning by the leadoff hitter, who has now hit twice in a row safely for the Saints. And here's Elijah Skips. He's been one of the peskiest hitters to retire in this game. In the 4 plate appearances, he's reached 3 times, 2 walks and a single. So Pirates really hoping that that will not continue here. Eppenbach out of the stretch. Here's the pitch. Low and away, ball 1. 1-0 the count. So it's 1-0 here to Elijah Skips. Time called for by Charlie Reynoso. So Charlie Reynoso calling for time in what is a big moment here for the Pirates, as it seemed like after that 3-run fifth inning, the Pirates might really jump all over the Saints. But to the Saints' credit, they continued to stymie the Pirates' offense for every inning other than that fifth. And then they began to chip away at the lead, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 8th, and the leadoff man here on board in the 9th. So Charlie Reynoso talking things over after that first pitch ball to Elijah Skips. Skips awaiting the 1-0 delivery from Andrew Eppenbach. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike one. 1-1 the count. Well, just after mentioning that Eppenbach was so tough to face on an 0-2, Kyle Moore singling up the middle and giving the Saints a base runner. Eppenbach. Here's the 1-1. Ground ball right side, past the diving Hernandez, and it's a second hit in a row. Thumb's going to come up firing the third, and the throw to third. Oh, he's safe. As it was a big throw by Thumb. We've seen him do big throws in the past, but just like that, 2 hits in a row, tying run on third base, winning run on board at first. And the Pirates,
Now batting for the Saints, first base,
as we mentioned, clinging to a 1-run lead, will put the infield in. And now you have Bryce Peterson at the plate. 1 for 4. Singleton scored in the 6th inning. That was the first run of the game scored for the Saints. Also struck out a couple times and grounded out to the shortstop, Nellis. Infield in, as we mentioned. First pitch swinging, foul. Down the third base line, 0-1 the count. Well, for the Pirates and Eppenbach, you will have to once again try to make a Houdini effort, as there's no outs, runners on the corners, tying run at third base. The hitter at the plate now, Peterson, is really one that you hope to retire at the plate, as this one misses off the plate outside, ball 1-1 the count. When I'm talking about at the plate, I mean the best case scenario if you're a Pirate would be a strikeout, because then there'd be 1 out and you could potentially turn 2 to end the game. Here's the 1-1. Grounded. Foul. Down the third base line, 1-2. So 1 ball, 2 strikes, no outs. Runners on the corners. Tying run at third base. Go-ahead run on first. Eppenbach on the mound. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Down he goes. First out of the inning, and that is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Pirates, as we were saying. That was pretty much the exact best case scenario that could possibly happen from that plate appearance, because now there's 1 out and runners on the corner. So now Jeff Nellis and Channing Varela could turn 2 to end the game. Meanwhile, the cleanup hitter steps up to the dish. That's Jason DeAndrea. 1 for 3, singled in the 4th. Walked and scored the second run of the game in the 8th for the South Bay Saints. Wow. This one misses inside, and I said wow because it almost clipped the left shoulder of the hitter. And that would have been almost a disaster for the Pirates in the sense that you put the go-ahead run on second base, although it would have opened the possibility to get a force out anywhere. But clearly you don't want to give them an extra base. Blown away, ball 2, 2-0 the count. So Eppenbach falling behind DeAndrea, the cleanup hitter in this South Bay lineup. Pirates trying to dodge another bullet here in the 9th inning. They dodged 1 in the 8th. Okay, they dodged 2 in 2 innings. Here's the pitch. Ground ball left side. Jackson is going to throw to second. Channing Varela to first. Game-ending double play. It's turned by Jackson over to Varela. And just like that, Eppenbach, he is Mr. Houdini. He's gotten out of 2 unbelievable jams. Second and third, no outs in the 8th. First and third, no outs in the 9th. And somehow, some way, getting out of it each time, as the Saints, in all likelihood, looked like they were going to come back and tie this game up, or maybe even worse from a Pirates perspective. And meanwhile, if you just saw on your stream, Nick Hernandez's grandpa waving hi to us. So give him a little shout out on 4th of July as the South Bay Saints and Inland Valley Pirates will shake hands at home plate. But wow, what a performance by Ebenbach, as it really, like we were saying, he was in a lot of trouble, but got out of it both times. And that's what really we were talking about, that Charlie Reynoso loves about him so much in closing games. He just loves the toughness of Ebenbach, and how that bulldog mentality that he displays, where even if he falls behind, even if he gives up 2 leadoff runners on a hit and a walk or whatever the situation is, he has that blue-collar work ethic, and he is going to continue to do exactly what he does, which is pitch and be a very good pitcher for the Pirates, as Ebenbach is now credited with 2 1/3 innings and the save. Meanwhile, Brendan Hornig going 6 2/3 innings and gets the win. Hornig allowing 1, Ebenbach allowing 1 as well. And for the Pirates, 3 was the magic number over the past 2 days, as they got 4 3-run innings in the last 2 days. 3 yesterday, 1 today in the 5th. And that was all they would need, as that 3-run inning was enough to carry them through the finish in that 3-run 5th inning. It was the big hit by Justin Gomez that gave them the 2-0 lead through the 5-6 hole on the left side of the infield that scored Jeff Nellis and Channing Varela to make it 2-0. But then Johnny Juarez with the RBI single also through the left side of the infield, and that is going to end up being the game-winning hit, as for the second straight day, Johnny Juarez, the Buck, has become a major part of this Pirate offense. And much maybe to the chagrin of Kevin Bowler, selfishly, the manager of the Buccaneers, who said there's absolutely no way we're making a trade to send Juarez permanently to the Pirates. But for the Pirates, they did what the goal was at the beginning of the day. We told you what the goal was. The goal was to, first of all, come out of this tournament 2-1, and they have done that. Secondly, the goal was to hold this team under 3 runs, and they've done that. So, both scenarios now, or at least the first part of the scenario, has come into fact here for the Pirates. The second half of the scenario, obviously if you're just joining us, you missed the whole game, but if you didn't hear earlier in the game or throughout the game, maybe in the middle parts of the innings when I kind of reiterated it, really the only scenario for them to win the pool would be a absolute slugfest of a game at 4 o'clock here between Oaks and the Foresters, where the Oaks end up winning by no less than a score of 12-11. So that's what's in store for the final game for the Pirates to somehow, some way win the pool. And as we mentioned, the Foresters have lost to Caneo Oaks earlier in the season. They did lose 1 out of 3 times, so not out of the realm of possibilities. But for the Pirates, they feel good about what they've done here, as they're not 2-1 and seem to finish no worse than second place in a loaded pool for the south side of this Rawlings Cup tournament. Dave Soberai on the play-by-play as always. Thank you for listening to us here today and watching on a national holiday, 4th of July. Hope you enjoy the fireworks. Didn't have much fireworks on the field today as we did the previous 2 games, but hope you enjoy fireworks later tonight. And as we mentioned, maybe enjoy a cocktail or a beer or grill and have some hamburgers and hot dogs on our national holiday. And we'll see you next time. And we don't know if next time would be tomorrow, because that would mean that that previous outcome played out. But we would assume, or we would think, that probably that will not happen. That will not end up coming to fruition. So our next broadcast is not going to be until Monday, and that'll be an Inland Valley Buccaneer broadcast. I'm also learning that the Pirates have added 2 more games for next week, and so I'm not exactly sure when those 2 games are, but I will get a text from Charlie Reynoso at some point, and that'll be updated on the schedule. And as long as they're home games and not completely in somewhere crazy like San Diego. I'm sure we'll have those live for you on inlandvalleybaseball.com. As not that San Diego's a crazy place, but it's just a far drive for yours truly. Good 2.5+ hours. And I got to make a shout out because I'm just, finishing the day and finishing a great weekend for the Pirates, but also a great personal weekend for me as I proposed to my girlfriend, Leslie, yesterday. And she said yes. And I think both of us couldn't be any happier. Want to say anything? No? Okay. What if I put this webcam on you and show your smiling face? Okay, fine. She doesn't want to. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that little exchange right there to end the day off here on the 4th of July at UC Santa Barbara. Dave Silber, I remind you the final score from this one. The Pirates 3 and the Saints 2. Pirates win the final 2 games in pool play and finish 2-1 and are really starting to roll here throughout these last 5 games they've played, winning 4 out of 5 this week, the one loss to a nationally ranked number 3 team in the nation. Thanks again for watching us, and we'll see you next time, which will be Monday at 5 o'clock for a Buccaneers non-league game against the Long Beach Legends.